San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and a happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot to get to today in the sports world. Lots of Padres stories to get to today. We're going to talk more about how Joe Musgrove returned, a first positive step for him as he got some spring training action yesterday, stadium game action, if you will. We'll talk about that later on in this hour. We're going to take a look at what the Padres lineup might look like into the season. AJ Cassavell was on with Ben and Woods, and he talked about some of the things he's been hearing about where they want to have Fernando Tatis Jr. bat in the lineup. And, it might not be where the Dominican Republic obviously has Fernando Tatis Jr. batting in the lineup. We're going to talk about the MLB salary cap talks a little bit today. Sam Lev will join us at noon. We got a lot to get to on the show. We're looking forward to it. Last night, my dad's birthday, we got to have a nice little family dinner last night over at Cowboy Star. Another great experience for us over there. I do want to mention, Frank, we had I was sitting next to a gentleman last night. Well, sitting at our table, the table next to us. It was a gentleman, looked like he was with his significant other or lady friend, whatever it may be. And my brother at one point said, this guy keeps looking at you over here. I don't know. He keeps glancing over here. And at the end of the dinner, we finish up, and he interrupts. He's like, hey, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, I listen to your show every day, and, and I love listening to your show every day. And I said, oh, thank you. His name was David. So shout out to David at Cowboy Star yesterday, who was, enjoying a dinner. We appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. Yesterday, a birthday. Today, a very important birthday as well. My friend's birthday. She's got her birthday today. So I last night, Frank, when I got home, decided to get I didn't have time to bake the cake throughout the week. I didn't want it to be dried out. So I baked she likes funfetti.
Gotcha.
So I made a funfetti cake from scratch last night.
Look at you.
I can cook. I don't do a lot of baking. I do more grilling and cooking, but I got the cake last night, the funfetti cake done, and I made the buttercream frosting.
Mm-hmm.
Strawberry buttercream frosting with this funfetti cake. The buttercream frosting is pretty good. And here's the thing that I accomplished last night. So there used to be a bakery out in East County. I think it was called Grove Pastry. Okay. And people in East County might know what this place is. It was my dad's favorite cake place when he was a kid growing up because he liked their buttercream frosting. He had yet to find a place that makes the buttercream frosting like Grove Pastry used to make. And what he means by that is that when you have some buttercream frosting, you like buttercream, right, Frank? Do you like buttercream? Yeah, buttercream's good.
I'm a recovering fat guy. I know my way around some buttercream.
Buttercream frosting is great. He likes that extra little grit that comes with the buttercream frosting. We've tried to make it so many times. He can't find it at any cake spot ever. And guess what? I accidentally made the grit frosting that he was looking for. So we accomplished two things.
There you go.
Because he tried it this morning. So the reality, I forgot when I was making the frosting, I was going to double it just in case, because if I run out, I'm hosed. I'm not remaking frosting. So I'm doing the double, and it calls for buttercream frosting calls for so much freaking butter and so much freaking sugar. And you use powdered sugar for it.
Yes.
I'm running out of powdered sugar.
Uh-oh.
I think I need 6 cups of powdered sugar. I forgot I needed to double it and have 12 cups of powdered sugar. I ended up using 10 cups of powdered sugar, and then I used 2 cups of granulated sugar. So the recipe calls for 6, doubled it. So 5 plus 1, that got you the grit Grove pastry level frosting. Apparently, I don't know. I've never had that. That place was left a long time ago before I was alive. But you know what? Racked up some good style points, as Nate would say, and then my dad got to try the frosting this morning. He is the cake snob. He's all about the cake and the snob. So he got to try that this morning. Make sure it's approved. I still have the frosted thing today when I get home before I go to her volleyball game that she coaches. So yes. She's coaching the game today. So hopefully the Falcons can knock down the Pointers today in beach volleyball. We'll see how that goes. They're missing some players. I don't know if it's good. I don't want to make excuses already, but you know what? We'll see. They won on Tuesday against San Diego. That was the first time I went for a beach volleyball match. It's called a duel. Did you know it's called a duel? It's not a match. It's a beach volleyball duel.
I did know that, actually.
So I went to that the other day. That's kind of crazy. Like there's just so much there's so much going on at one time, and you're trying to like keep track of what pairs are winning to determine if you win the duel or not, because it's best out of 5 basically. So Scripps Ranch won the duel 4-1 on Tuesday, and we'll see how they do against the Pointers today. Beach volleyball. When are you going to come out to a beach volleyball duel, Frank?
Soon, I'm sure. Prolific. Braden did not make a cake for his girlfriend. Did you hear him? He made a cake for his friend.
That's right. You can say what you want. I said girlfriend the other day, so it's not crazy. It's sports. Speaking of, after all of that, back-to-back birthdays wearing me out, man. It's a lot. And it was wearing me out on my trying to eat better. It's very hard to eat good, eat well when you are having multiple birthdays in a row.
I'm sure.
It's not great. And then I got my birthday coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to make it even more difficult. But I want to get to what I wanted to start the show with today. And this is where I want to start the show with the Padres. Today is one of those spring training days that actually matters. Because most games in March, let's be honest, they're background noise. Split squads, guys wearing numbers in the 80s, pitchers who are going to be in AA in a month. Today is different. Today we get Walker Buehler making his first Cactus League stadium start in a San Diego Padres uniform. And I'm going to say something. Buehler. And I'm going to say something that maybe sounds a little dramatic for early March, but I actually believe this. This might be the most important addition to the Padres made all offseason. Not the flashiest, not the biggest headline, not the one that could matter the most, because look at where the Padres rotation is right now. This isn't the same group we're talking about a year ago or even 2 years ago. Obviously, you don't have Yu Darvish this year. Dylan Cease is no longer with the San Diego Padres. The rotation is Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Joe Musgrove, Randy Vasquez, who's been very good so far. And then there's a massive question mark for the number 5 spot. And right now, there's a real competition for it. Walker Buehler, Herman Marquez, J.P. Sears, Matt Waldron, Tristan McKenzie, and eventually Griffin Canning, who won't even be back until about May. And that's a lot of names. But only one of those guys has been a World Series champion, an all-star, and one of the nastiest big game pitchers in baseball. Walker Buehler. And the crazy thing about his story, Tom Krasnovic put it out in a UT article or a column the other day. He almost became a Padre 14 years ago. Back in the 2012 draft, his family threw a draft party in Kentucky, expecting the Padres to take him with the 55th pick. There was even a connection there. Padres scout Kevin Jarvis knew the family, and everybody thought this was going to happen. The draft comes around. With the 55th pick, the San Diego Padres select Walker, and Buehler thought it was his name. Buehler thought he was the guy. Buehler thought he was going to the Padres, except it wasn't Walker Buehler. It was Walker Weichel. Buehler literally walked out of the draft party and called Vanderbilt to say he was going to college. 3 years later, he re-enters the draft, and the same executives who passed on him with the Padres, Billy Gasparino and Josh Burns, draft him again. Only this time, they're now working for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Padres fans know exactly what happened next with Walker Buehler in a Dodger uniform. Walker Buehler became a star. He became a World Series champion. He became a postseason killer and a guy who absolutely tormented the San Diego Padres. Against San Diego, he had a 1.61 ERA, his best against any team he faced regularly. There was even that combined no-hitter against the Padres early in his career. Remember that game the Dodgers had down in Mexico in that series against the Padres? Every time he pitched against San Diego, you just kind of rolled your eyes and said, of course. Of course, the guy the Padres almost drafted is dominating them. But baseball is funny because now the guy who haunted this franchise for years might end up helping save its rotation in 2026. And the Padres got him for basically nothing. A minor league contract. Low risk. Huge upside. Now, look, we have to be honest about recent history. The last couple of years for Walker Buehler haven't been great. He had his second Tommy John surgery in 2022. He struggled with Boston last year and was released after posting a 5.45 ERA. That's reality. But there's another part of the story people forget. After the Red Sox released him, he joined the Phillies and made 3 starts to end the season. 13 2/3 innings, 1 run allowed. That's it. And now in camp, he says his body finally feels normal again. He talked about how after surgery, you almost become an amateur again because your mechanics change. Your arm slot changes, your timing changes. But now he says he's starting to move like he used to. And when that happens, velocity comes back. Command comes back. But more importantly, confidence comes back. And that's why this is such an intriguing gamble for the San Diego Padres. Because here's the thing. The Padres don't need Walker Buehler to be 2019 Walker Buehler. They don't need an ace. They just need a 5th starter. I'm sure they would take an ace. I'm sure they would love to have 2019 Walker Buehler. And the average number 5 starter on a playoff team, as we talked about yesterday, gives you about 109 innings, around 16 starts, and roughly a 4.65 ERA. That's the job description. 5 innings, 3 runs or fewer, keep the bullpen fresh. Walker Buehler doesn't have to be spectacular. He just have to be steady. And if he is, suddenly this rotation looks a lot deeper. Suddenly, those numbers and the season projection of the over-under for wins for the Padres this year starts to look a little bit more on the higher side. Nick Pavetta's going to give you innings. Michael King has top of the rotation stuff. Joe Musgrove is your emotional leader. We're going to talk about Joe later on, about what he looked like yesterday. And you take a deeper dive into the metrics, he looked a lot like Joe Musgrove. Randy Vasquez has looked fantastic in camp. And if Walker Buehler finds even 85% of the guy he was with the Dodgers, that's a problem for the rest of the league. Because now the 5th spot suddenly has a guy who's pitched in the biggest games baseball has to offer. Think about this. In the 2018 World Series against Boston, Walker Buehler pitched so well that Sandy Koufax stood up in Dodger Stadium and applauded Walker Buehler. That's not a normal pitcher. That's a competitor. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts even talked about one of Buehler's toughest games, 2024 NLDS against the Padres, who got rocked early, gave up 6 runs, and it looked like a disaster. But instead of melting down, he regrouped and got 9 more outs that helped save the Dodgers bullpen for the rest of the series. Roberts called it one of the most important performances of his career. That's the type of competitor you bet on. And that's exactly what the Padres are doing. They're betting that the talent doesn't just disappear. They're betting that if his arm is healthy, if the velocity is back, if the command returns, Walker Buehler could still be a very good pitcher. And when you look at the competition for the 5th spot, Herman Marquez is coming off injuries. We haven't seen him in a game yet. Tristan McKenzie is trying to rediscover himself. Matt Waldron is a knuckleball wild card, and JP Sears is more of a depth arm than anything else. Plus, Griffin Canning isn't even pitching until May in an actual game. So the opportunity is real. Walker Buehler isn't here just for a spring training cameo. He has a legitimate shot to make this team. And honestly, I hope he does, because baseball loves those full circle stories. The Padres almost drafted him. He became a Dodger star. He tortured San Diego for years. And now he might end up wearing brown and gold trying to help this team win. And if the stuff is there today against Seattle, this might be a first real glimpse of something that could matter a lot more than people realize right now. Because sometimes the biggest moves in an offseason aren't the ones everybody talks about. Sometimes they're the quiet gambles. And Walker Buehler might end up being exactly that. So that's why today is important. That's why today's spring training game holds more weight than they normally do. Because Walker Buehler could be the key to the Padres having a great season. Why the Padres could win 96 games. Why the Padres can make a run at this. But they're going to need one of these gambles to pay off. I think Walker Buehler has the best chance of being the gamble that pays off. And the thing is with Walker Buehler today, sure, he could get lit up. Sure, he could not have the velocity. Sure, there's a lot of things riding on this game. But if Walker Buehler goes out there and starts to see the velo and starts to really settle in, this is going to be a dangerous Padres team. And that's going to be another masterclass move by AJ Preller. But here's the best part. If it doesn't work out, guess what? It doesn't cost you anything. There's other players battling for a spot. And when you bring in this kind of competition, you just need one to hit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're just getting started here on the Braden Surprenant Show. When we come back, we're going to take a deeper dive into Joe Musgrove's outing yesterday. We were kind of reacting in live time how Joe Musgrove did, but when you look at the analytics, Joe Musgrove looked like, well, Joe Musgrove. I'll explain further when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Big week across the board for the Tritons, and depending on the program, it's either momentum season or gut check time. Let's start with the hottest team in La Jolla right now, and that's the men's basketball team. Are they peaking at the right time? Well, UCSD Tritons men's basketball team have quietly won 5 straight games and are making a serious late push in the Big West Conference. They handled Cal State Bakersfield 84-72 behind 21 points from Hudson Mays. Their third straight 20-win season, then followed it up with an 80-64 win over Cal Poly in front of 3,300 at Lion Tree Arena. And here's what stands out. 18-1 when leading at halftime, turned it over just 6 times against Cal Poly, held a team averaging 82 points per game to 64, and 5 players in double figures in the home finale.
Yeah, now they're 21-9, 11-7 in conference play, and they're tied for third with 2 games left, including a massive showdown against Cal State Fullerton. They are defending, they're controlling tempo, they're winning inside 40 points in the paint against Cal Poly. They're also closing games. Now the question isn't whether or not they're good, it's whether or not they're March dangerous.
And to be much dangerous, they're going to have to be much dangerous in Las Vegas because they play the Big West Conference. The Big West Conference is a one-bid league. And so they're just like San Diego State. They're going to have to get hot in a week in a weekend in Vegas. And so we'll see what the Tritons have up their sleeve in men's basketball. As for women's basketball, program history in the making. UCSD Tritons women's basketball might be building something even bigger. Back-to-back 85-point outings, back-to-back road wins, second straight 20-win season. They beat Bakersfield 85-79 behind 19 from Michaela Rose and followed it with an 85-61 statement win at Cal Poly. Erin Condren posted her 10th double-double. Rose is now 2 steals away from the single-season program record. They're 20-8 overall and 15-3 in Big West play, tied for first with Irvine with 2 games left.
Yep, absolutely. And the key stat is they've won the battle in the paint. They've won the turnover battle, fast break points and rebounds in both of those games. That's not just lucky. That's identity. And they're playing downhill. They're forcing mistakes. They're closing out, as this might be the most complete women's team that UC San Diego has fielded since they've gone into Division I basketball.
As for the baseball program, UCSD showed both their ceiling and their growing pains on the road at Louisiana. Opened the series with a 7-3 win. Trevion Martinez with 5 RBIs. Anthony Potestio going 4 for 5 and 12 strikeouts from the pitching staff. And then an 8-0 shutout loss and a 4-3 series finale heartbreak where they out-hit Louisiana but stranded 10 runners. That was after they stranded 20 runners on Tuesday against USD. They're now 4-6 heading into Cincinnati for another road test against this time a Power 4 opponent. This team can hit, they could pitch in stretches, but situational execution is the separator right now for this team.
Yeah, no, the talent is for sure there. It's just the consistency is not there. And we've talked about it a lot. A team that has problems driving in runners as well, trying to figure it out this year in the San Diego Padres. So this is it's a baseball problem that you're always going to run into. You're going to run into times where you cannot get runners in, and that really bit the Tritons on Sunday.
As for softball, from 10-1 to 9 straight losses, and then that's the most dramatic swing of the week. Yeah. UCSD softball started the season 10-1. They've now lost 9 straight games. They were no hit by Fresno State. They dropped both games Saturday despite 15 hits against Pacific. They're 10-10 heading into Big West play at UC Santa Barbara, but they still have some players that are doing pretty well individually.
Yeah, absolutely. Marley Espio, hitting 383 with 12 extra base hits. The offense can explode, 15 hits in one game, but pitching depth and late execution are what have been the problems here for UC San Diego's softball team. Now that conference play is starting, there's no more tournaments, there's no more warm-ups. It's for real now. They need to get it back into gear, and that is a rough way to go into conference play after such a hot start that they had.
Just overall with UCSD athletics, and we've talked about it enough, but for a school that is still transitioning from Division II to Division I, it's been a handful of years now. They're now postseason eligible. I mean, some of the things that we talked about in this report of multiple 20-win seasons for men's and women's basketball in a row, baseball, swinging with some of the best of them, and they won a Big West Conference championship in 2023. They just were ineligible for the postseason because of the postseason ban for teams transitioning to Division I. They've accomplished a lot so far, and they're really making a lot of headway in town and in Division I athletics.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to be proud of, and they've done a fantastic job. They've gotten that momentum behind them. Now they just need to continuously show that they can go out there and win at a high level.
(10:24) on a Thursday. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. As we talk a little bit about Walker Buehler. I'm excited for Walker Buehler's start today, Frank. I really am, to be honest with you. I think this could be a huge thing for the Padres if he goes out there and does well. And again, if he doesn't, who cares? He's on a minor league deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
There's really no downside to this. Nothing bad can happen. Only good can happen.
But yeah, it is a very, very encouraging sign from everything we've seen on the backfields and everything we've heard about how he's feeling. It's very, very encouraging to hear going into today's debut for Walker Buehler.
Yeah, I this is the most intrigued I've been in a spring training game. I was intrigued yesterday just with Joe being back out there, and we're going to talk about how Joe did. I mean, you look at his metric profile for that was posted online, and there's a lot of pitching metrics out there. We're going to explain it for you on the graph, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, Joe Musgrove looked a lot like Joe Musgrove yesterday. And a lot of the ins and outs of the metrics of his arm angle, of his vertical break, his horizontal break, his stuff plus, all of those advanced numbers were matching what Joe Musgrove has been. And so we're going to take a deeper dive into that in the next segment and explain some of these graphs that you're starting to see populate on social media and explain them in a way to try to like give you a sense of what they mean so you can actually interpret some of this information. Because I think a lot of the time you get just inundated with some of this info. And it's just like, I don't know what this means. They say it's good, but what does it mean? So we're going to try to do a better job of explaining that on the other side of the break. We do want to get your phone calls, though. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Tim and Miramar standing by. Tim, what's going on, man? You're on the Braden Surprenant Show.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Braden, I agree with you 100% about Bulldog Buehler. And if it was to work out, it would be fantastic. But that's not why I called. I can't believe what I read this morning. 399 at-bats. Did you guys see the article this morning from AC?
Which one was this?
Tatis came up last season 399 times with nobody on base. I can't even believe the stat. I had to look at it again. I don't have access to those stats. 399 times he came up to bat with nobody on base. It blows out of the water the theory that your best hitter should bat first. And that's where I'm going with this. The fact that Tatis batted first for Puerto Rico is like an all-star game. It's meaningless. You got 9 guys that can bat leadoff, 9 guys that can bat second, 9 guys that can, you know where I'm going. You can bat Tony Gwynn ninth. It's like the show, MLB. But 399 times he came up last year with nobody on base. The fact that they didn't do anything about that, and the numbers bear it out. The Padres were at the bottom of baseball in runs scored. And the last time I checked, the object is to score more runs than the other team. You want to talk about addition by subtraction. The fact that Schultz is gone, I am thrilled. And even if it was management saying you got to bat Tatis leadoff, it made no sense. He should have enough baseball knowledge and ability to say, no, I disagree with it. I'm going the Melvin route. It's my lineup. Anyway, that was his idea. I'm so glad he's gone. And we don't have to listen to the junk he used to talk about. And now, not batting Tatis leadoff is huge. And even with the team last year, and they got more depth this year and a longer lineup, it still makes no sense to have a hitter like Tatis on your team batting leadoff. Okay? And lastly, with baseball, you got to build a team that can get you into the playoffs, but once you're in the playoffs, you got to do damage. And the Padres have not figured that out yet. The Dodgers certainly have, so have some other teams, but I think this year, with the acquisitions, and if they have the depth, and of course avoiding injuries, I like what I'm seeing this year. I like Stamen. I'm fired up this year, guys. I really am. Thank you.
I appreciate the phone call, Tim. I'd like to know, because I saw that in the article, we were going to talk about that later on in the noon hour, but I'd like to know how many times did Shohei Ohtani come up with men on base? Because that was the stat, right? He said 399 times he came up with nobody on base. Last year, Shohei Ohtani got up with 410 people. He had 410 at-bats with nobody on base. His 399 at-bats with the bases empty were the most on the team. His 105 at-bats with runners in scoring position were 7th on the team, and his 9 home runs with runners on base led the Padres despite having just the 6th highest number of at-bats with men on. Shohei Ohtani had 410 at-bats with nobody on base and 201 at-bats with runners on base. I mean, it works out for them. To me, it's like, I think all of those leadoff guys are dealing with the same thing. I mean, after the first at-bat, though, Frank, after the first at-bat of the game, there's no control over guys getting on base in front of players.
Correct.
You have no control over it. So if you look at the metrics or the at-bats or all these other guys, I mean, I like to know, like Ronald Acuna Jr., that's another guy that bats leadoff a lot, right? He's one of their best guys. I mean, Shohei Ohtani last year with nobody on base had 410 at-bats and had 201 at-bats with men on base. I mean, you could go through all the metrics. That's going to be a skewed stat because Fernando is leading off the game. Obviously, that's the case. He's going to have way more than everybody else when he bats leadoff the entire year. Those are just one bat. Here's the other thing, too. If Fernando bats fourth and the top of the order goes down 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, he's going to rack up a ton of at-bats with nobody on base, too, Frank. I get what Tim's saying. You want to try to make that happen as much as possible, but I still think it's more beneficial to have your best hitter up more times than trying to finagle with nobody on base. But Fernando, out of the 399 at-bats, as go Aztecs, I mean, just start looking about how many games he played. If he played 150-something games, he batted leadoff almost every time. That's a guarantee 150 at-bats he's going to have without runners on base. So, of course, that number is going to be very high. I'm looking at Ronald Acuna Jr. stats right now and he's been battling injuries for a long time. So last year, Acuna, again, one of those players that is very comparable to Fernando. Acuna hit leadoff 185. He was batting for, he hit first in 43 games in his batting order spot. He also hit third, sixth, seventh, and ninth. He actually hit better batting leadoff than anything else. But with runners on base, again, he had 211 at-bats with nobody on base and only 127 at-bats with men on base. And if you look at statistics of what position in the order is going to come up with the most guys on base, it's the 7th spot in the order. So my question now, Frank, is should you bat, as Juan Ruiz put us in the chat too, should Fernando bat 7th then, if that's what you're trying to do? I mean, I just think I think you're trying to control things that you can't control too much with some of the lineups.
Yeah, I mean, you make so much fuss about a leadoff hitter when, as you said, the leadoff hitter really only matters at the beginning of the game. That's it, because there's no way to get your leadoff hitter to lead off on purpose. You're just going through the lineup at that point. It's one of those things that it's just it's a little too nitpicky, I think. I know you want to try to get Fernando as many RBI chances as you possibly can. You want him to do as much damage as he possibly can. Kyle Schwarber hit leadoff for the Phillies most of the year last year. He still had 50 some odd home runs and over 100 RBIs. So it really just depends on when. It's not necessarily where he is in the lineup. It's when he comes up when guys are on base. That's really it.
Yeah, and he has no impact on that throughout the game. Exactly. And as we talked about before, and Ello brought up the other day, aside from the first time that you aside for the first time going through the order really doesn't matter nor change. It's totally based on how well you hit that day. I mean, there could be a lot of situations where, depending on where he's at, just the way the game plays, he's leading innings off. There's a lot of players that bat like in the middle of the order that have to lead off every inning because the guy in front of them keeps ending the inning in front of them. That's why they have the joke. Who bats after Frank? The other team. It's funny. Choose use an example. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's talk about what we took away from yesterday's game when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Over 1 year ago, San Diego FC and St. Louis City SC walked out of Snapdragon Stadium with a scoreless draw, cautious, unfinished first chapter. This time, well, nothing cautious about it. Anders Dreyer wasted just 3 minutes to change the tone entirely. Dreyer, last season's MVP runner-up, buried the opener off a sharp pass from Marcus Ingvarsson with an Ani Valakari helping build the play, and San Diego never looked back in a 2-0 win over St. Louis. It wasn't just a win, it was control, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. San Diego FC dominated their possession. Over 61%, outshot St. Louis City 10-4. Goalkeeper Duran Ferri secured his second straight clean sheet. Ingvarsson added the insurance goal in the 54th minute, which Apple TV missed because they had a video blackout. Fun. Set up once again by Dreyer, who now has assists and goals flowing early in this season. I mentioned it on the show. Dreyer already has 4 goal contributions of the 7 goals. And if you want to count that shot that was saved, that redirected right to Amal Pellegrino in the opener against Montreal, he has contributed directly to 5 of San Diego FC's 7 goals this year, which is incredible.
Yeah, San Diego FC dominated the possession at over 61%, outshot St. Louis 10-4, and Ferri, again, as you mentioned, second straight clean sheet. I mean, these are all numbers that are staggering and dominating, and a big reason why San Diego FC is going to be one of the favorites this season. I mean, I know they keep talking about LAFC being like the big dog to look out for in the Western Conference, and maybe they are, and maybe that sets up a big rivalry game in the future, but the way San Diego FC has been playing and the confidence they're playing with, it's the stability that they have on the field and also off the field with a lot of different guys getting contract extensions now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for LAFC, it's more based off of, well, they're the Inter Miami of the West. They're signing big international stars. Sung came in at the end of last season on a move from Tottenham. So they have the big name international stars that have made themselves a name in Europe, just in the same way that Inter Miami has with guys like Lionel Messi. So that's where that comparison comes from. And they've also started the season off very, very hot. But yeah, to be able to get 2 wins convincingly to start off this season, especially after the contract extensions that we'll get to right now that have been handed out, is a very, very good sign that we're seeing a very special team.
Yeah, San Diego FC signed sporting director and general manager Tyler Heaps to a multi-year extension, and that might not be the biggest move of the week because Heaps built this club from scratch. Entire soccer operations department, coaching staff, 25-man inaugural roster. They got 19 wins, 63 points, and the number 1 seed in the West, and a Western Conference final appearance out of it. Only one other expansion team in MLS history has done that, and that is the 1998 Chicago Fire. Before San Diego, Heaps sharpened his resume at the Right to Dream, AS Monaco, and U.S. Soccer, where he was part of the 2019 Women's World Cup winning staff. He's not just a roster builder. He's a systems guy, analytics-driven, culture first. Locking him in long-term signals something important, that this club isn't thinking about surviving the MLS. They're thinking about building a dynasty model in the MLS, and a big way to do that is keeping your keeper.
And yeah, and to be fair, they've already built that foundation. And as you mentioned, speaking of stability, goalkeeper Pablo Cisniega is also staying. San Diego FC re-signed him through 2027 with a club option beyond that. Now, if you remember last season's playoff run, that was Cisniega in net. 2 games against Portland, thrown into the match in the 29th minute due to injury, saves 3 penalties in a shootout. That is franchise folklore stuff in year 1. A guy who barely got any playing time during the regular season, coming up massively on a second's notice in the postseason is incredible from Cisniega.
Yeah, this year he's already delivered in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. 8 saves against Pumas Unum in Mexico to push San Diego into the round of 16. That's not just depth, it's reliability. And smart clubs lock in reliability early. And that's exactly what San Diego FC did. So what's next for San Diego FC? Well, they head to face Sporting Kansas City this weekend, and then it's back home on March 11th at Snapdragon Stadium for a heavyweight CONCACAF Champions Cup showdown against back-to-back Liga MX champion in Toluca FC. And that is where things are going to get interesting. League play is one thing, but international competition sets depth, tests depth, discipline, and mentality. And so far, San Diego FC looks like they are built for it, Frank.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they are built for it just yet, because that game against Pumas in Mexico, that they really didn't have too much to worry about in that game. You're up 4-1 in aggregate. You can chill out a little bit. You can relax. If it's close or if they're losing against Toluca, that will really test the mettle of this team.
Away to the game on Saturday for San Diego State basketball. Friday. They're playing tomorrow.
Yes, they're playing tomorrow.
They actually still have a chance. Magically. Does anybody want to win the Mountain West Conference? Does anybody want to win the Mountain West Conference? Anybody? Buehler? Does Walker Buehler want to win the Mountain West Conference in basketball? Buehler? L for New Mexico last night. Utah State took an L. San Diego State magically is a game out of first place. And if this thing plays correctly, you could have a 3-way tie for first on Saturday, by the way. I got to look at the schedule. What do we got coming up Friday, Saturday for this schedule? Who's got to finish? We got New Mexico, Utah State on Saturday. So if the Aztecs win on Friday and then New Mexico beats Utah State on Saturday, you got yourself a 3-way tie for first place in the conference. Does anybody want to win this conference? Frank, do you want to win this conference? You care?
I'm good.
Grand Canyon doesn't want to win the conference.
I'm more focused on the Colonial right now.
Hofstra. Does New Mexico doesn't want to win the conference. San Diego State doesn't want to win the conference. Grand Canyon doesn't want to win the conference. Colorado State doesn't want to win the conference. Utah State doesn't want to win the conference.
To be fair to New Mexico, they will have more chances to win this conference since they're not leaving it.
It's true. Anyway, you can win tickets to the Chaos in the 1:00 hour for the game tomorrow between San Diego State and UNLV. Just knowing how this season has played out for Aztec basketball, the Aztecs are going to win on Friday, and Utah State's going to lose to New Mexico, and we're going to have utter chaos. Who wins the tiebreaker for seeding purposes? Because it's a 3-way championship, I'm pretty sure. Now I got to go look at the tiebreakers. Now I got to put a segment together on this. Thanks a lot. New Mexico.
Something we could do tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, New Mexico. And Utah State this week. What are we doing? Utah State got blown out by UNLV on Tuesday.
Who does San Diego State play tomorrow?
UNLV. UNLV beat Utah State 92-65. How is Utah State a for sure thing in the tournament at this point? Can't even win the deal. Utah State, fat L. New Mexico last night, fat L. Aztecs, staying alive, Frank. Staying alive. Just when I...
That's not called skill. That's called the luck of fools.
Yeah, seriously.
That is called the luck of fools.
Go Aztecs. Just geeking out last night, probably watching that game. Chaos. Just utter chaos. 833-288-973. 833-288-973. We're going to get your phone calls. Then we're going to kind of take the big things out of yesterday's game. What stood out to us in yesterday's spring training game. I think today's one of the most intriguing spring training games of spring training this season. Walker Buehler's on the mound. I can't wait to see this. It's either going to be very good or very bad. I mean, it's really no in between. The good news is Walker Buehler does really well. Padres are in a good spot. Walker Buehler does not do very well. Hey, you know what? Doesn't cost you anything. Failed experiment. Move on to the next one. Let's get to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin wants to weigh in. What's going on, Kevin?
Yeah, hey, getting back to the Fernando comments from the very first caller, I would go a little bit further, a little bit different take. The opposition that I have to Fernando being at the top, it would be okay if you had some other bats coming along in the 3-hole, the 4-hole, the 5-hole that were slug possible. And therein lies the problem. And so when you compare Shohei Ohtani, for example, that team up there has got 3 or 4 guys that can hit after him, that can knock the ball out of the park. The Padres don't have that and did not have that last year. I don't think they've really solved much of a roster problem this year relative to the potential to slug. I don't see anybody coming along other than Fernando that worries other starting pitchers. And that's kind of the way I see it. So it's just not because whether he should be there or not is not the question. The question is, who do they got better coming along after Manny? And I think Manny spoke a mouthful when he said how much he appreciates the 3-4 with him and Fernando. And because of the fact that pitchers can't now pitch around Manny, and he's going to get better pitches, and Fernando's going to get better pitches than he was up at the 1-hole. Remember last year, and I'll finish up with this. Everybody was wigged out because Fernando wasn't hitting home runs in the 1-hole. And so what good is it if he's hitting a home run and there's nobody on base? It's a 1-run deal. Big deal. That's defendable. So think about that and listen to what you guys have to say.
Kevin, appreciate the phone call. Did anybody listen to the numbers we had with Castellanos and Andujar from what they've done so far? What they were brought in to do? Anybody? Buehler? I'm just saying, like, I don't have to see Fernando bat leadoff, but I still think he's the most dynamic leadoff hitter you have on the team. I just think trying to reorganize your lineup to only account for one particular chance for Fernando to come up with runners on base is a fool's errand. That's my take. It's like, I understand the logic, but the reality is after the first time through the order, you never know if Fernando's going to come up with guys on base or not. That has to do with the rest of the lineup. That is a collective lineup thing. It doesn't really matter what the order is. Am I the only one that thinks that it doesn't matter? I mean, it doesn't really matter, Frank. Like, where you back guys in order at the end of the day, it's only the first time through that really matters. And I'd rather have Fernando start the game off. That was my logic on that deal. It doesn't sound like he's going to bat leadoff, but if the guys in front of him don't get on base in the first inning and he comes up to lead off the second, there's nobody on base, are you going to move him down the order more? I mean, you're trying to artificially create situations that you have no control over.
Yeah, it's the conversation we're going to have in the next hour.
Right.
But I mean, I've never been a fan of batting him first. I would have liked to have seen him in the 3-4 spot, swapping between him and Manny, whoever feels comfortable. But I mean, if that's the way the Padres want to do it, then that's the way they're going to do it. That's really all it comes down to.
How about all these people, by the way, that were so against Xander Bogaerts even batting on the team are all batting him leadoff now? I'm just saying, like,
We are the Xander Show.
That's right. We are the Xander Show. In terms of whoever gives you the most dynamic play at the top, and you see all these other teams and the success that they have had with dynamic players at the top of the order, it's guys like Fernando bat leadoff for most teams that have success. I think a lot of people are against it because they want to see him hit grand slams and 3-run homers. They don't have any type of power over who gets on base in front of them, aside from the first at bat, right? That's the first time through is the only case in which that's the thing. In case that's the deal. That's it. Other than that, it doesn't really matter. You're trying to get your guys up as many times as possible. So, from that perspective, I still like Fernando leadoff spot. I don't think the Padres are going to bat him in the leadoff spot. I don't think he has to bat in the leadoff spot. But I think your most dynamic lineup has him batting leadoff. I'd actually like him batting third, but you've had Manny bat third the entire time. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'd rather have Fernando bat third over 4. I think a lot of it has to do with like where Manny bats. And I think most of the time you put Manny third. But I also think a big reason why Fernando didn't have the great production is you had Luis Arraez batting behind him last year. You're not going to have that this year. I don't mind Xander batting leadoff. I don't necessarily know if I'm super in on Jake Cronenworth batting leadoff. I like him board near the bottom of the order. You want to flip him to the top, batting 9th? I like that. But the whole idea, the whole situation with this entire lineup in general, you need 9 good hitters. At the end of the day, Frank, you need the 9 good hitters. If you got any type of holes in your lineup, it affects everybody else in the lineup.
Yeah, and to that, we said it all last year how little Luis Arraez was helping Fernando, and that's part of the reason why I would want to move him back in the lineup is because you have more protection around him. You have more guys who are able to help him see better pitches that he would be able to do damage with. I just, again, it's such a, for me, it's such a, why bother having this conversation? Because it's going to be, you're going to see how it goes. You're going to see how they put the lineup in during the regular season. And I'm sure if they do bat him 4th or 5th and he doesn't perform, same people are calling in saying he shouldn't be leading off are going to be the ones calling in saying, why is he not leading off?
We're going to get all those calls. Regardless, as soon as the team starts to lose, you're going to get, why is Fernando batting 4th? Why is Fernando batting leadoff? Why is Fernando? If Fernando hit here, we'd score more runs. It's like, well, it's basically the same thing. I don't mind the Xander Bogaerts deal at the top either because that guy gets on base and he steals. At least he has been. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Stephen Powell, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Braden. I know this. I'm glad you're not one of the managers. So I disagree with you so much about Fernando leading off. I think it messed with his head. And then you say it doesn't matter after the first at bat. Are you crazy? Who would you rather have in front of him? 1, 2, and 3, or 7, 8, 9?
Well, I'd bet Jake Cronenworth. I'd bet Jake Cronenworth 9th, Steve. I'd bet Jake Cronenworth 9th. You don't like Jake Cronenworth in front of Fernando?
No, I'd rather have 1, 2, and 3 in front of Fernando. I think it messed with his head. I think he was trying to take pitches, trying to get on base instead of power in the ball. And I think he's a natural power hitting hitter, and he needs to be either 3rd or 4th in the lineup. I think it messed with his head the whole season. He looked terrible. He's not.
Steve, you said he messed with his head. He has more career at bats as a leadoff hitter than any spot in his career, and he has had great numbers in the leadoff spot. How did it mess with his head?
I think he's been utilized way better when he's in a 3 or 4 where he can drive 4 runs in than worry about him getting on base. I just do. I think you wasted the talent by having him in first. That's my opinion.
Hey, you know what? That's your opinion. I respect that. Waste of his talent.
I mean, I agree with Steve as to where he should be hitting. I don't agree with the reasoning. If you thought that something was messing with Fernando's head, y'all remember all of the off the field things that Fernando was dealing with last year? I think that would have messed more with his head than him batting first. Like I said, I don't think that who was batting behind him was helping him. If you have a dangerous hitter behind Fernando, then he's going to get better pitches because you don't want to pitch to the guy behind him just as much as you don't want to pitch to him. So you may as well try to get him out. Instead, when you have a guy like Luis Arraez, who's just a slap hitter trying to get the ball into the outfield somewhere, doesn't really care what he's swinging at, you can try to get Fernando out because you have a pretty good chance at one coming up behind him. So I agree with Steve. I agree with you as far as where he should be hitting in the lineup. For my personal preference, I just don't believe that him hitting first in the lineup was messing with him.
No,
I think it was more the off the field stuff.
He has the most. If it's he's doing pretty well for the Dominican right now, batting leadoff. Everything of why he should bat leadoff is because of he's the most athletic player in your team, and he's your best player in the team. That's why he should bat leadoff, in my opinion. That's how I would do it. But again, with the way that everything's played out with it didn't work last year because Arias was batting behind him, we have to change. We have to drastically change everything. I don't mind him at the leadoff spot because he's your best player. He's your best player.
If you have Fernando hit leadoff and have Merrill behind him, you'll see a different Fernando.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Plus, the other thing he did, Frank, I'll tell you when we come back.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods, and
All right. You got to take a deeper dive into this Xander batting leadoff thing. Last year, we're the only ones that would defend Xander Bogaerts. Now it's like, oh, we gotta have this guy bat leadoff. Now, here's something that's interesting with this.
Right, but too early.
To an extent. Xander's first year in San Diego was 2023, right? That was the year that he joined the team?
That was the year they signed him. Well, what year? After what season was the winter meetings here?
That we signed him after the 2022 season when the Padres went to the NLCS.
Yeah, so 23
they needed to make the big
splash. 23 would have been the first one.
And they didn't make the playoffs in 23. Mm-hmm. And they made it in 24 and 25. Xander Bogaerts, here's the thing. Like, I remember with Xander Bogaerts batting leadoff in 24, people could not wait to get him out of there because of how bad he was. So here's the deal. In 2023, Xander Bogaerts had most of his plate appearances batting fifth. He hit 286 with a 793 OPS. He did start 23 games in the leadoff spot in 2023, and he had great numbers in 103 plate appearances. Only 93 at-bats. He hit 344 in the leadoff spot with an 885 OPS, 3 home runs, and 15 RBIs. 3 doubles, 2 triples. Guy was raking. Hey, that's a chalk one up, right? Frank, for him batting leadoff?
Yes, sir.
That's only in 23 games. In 2024, they had him do the same thing. In 2024, Xander Bogaerts hit first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and ninth that season. When he hit first in 2024, guess what his batting average was?
270?
212.
Oof.
2024, when Xander Bogaerts hit leadoff, he hit 212 with a 567 OPS in more games. 29 games started, 129 plate appearances, 118 at-bats. He had 3 triples, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 11 walks, and he struck out 23 times. That was 2024.
You know what that means for 2026?
What does that mean for 2026?
Third time lucky.
Third time's the charm.
Third time lucky, baby.
That, remember, we were literally having those conversations. When is Mike Schilt going to get leadoff or get Xander Bogaerts out of the leadoff spot? He was so hard set on it, right? That was the beginning of the season. It was awful. Get those phone calls all the time. Last year, he had one game where he started in the leadoff spot. He had 250 with a 650 OPS.
1 for 4. Okay, take 1 for 4 for the
take
most
1
part.
For 4 for sure, 100%. But as we said, and now all of a sudden it's like, gotta pat Xander Bogaerts first. I'm just saying, like, when you start looking at who was batting second a lot for some of these teams or for some of these lineups, maybe it's more of a Luis Arraez problem than anything else. You're gonna have, like, I guess it might have been at the beginning of the season.
I wouldn't say that because
no, he was batting leadoff when he showed up in 2024.
Yeah, because 2024, Arraez came in late. Arraez came in May, like at the beginning of May. So if those 29 games were all in April, he didn't have Arraez behind him.
No. I think they were all, well, they didn't say when they it doesn't say when they were. You have to go into every single lineup. I think if I remember correctly, that year was like he was batting near the leadoff. They got Arraez what, like May?
Yeah, they got him at the beginning of May before the Arizona series.
Correct. And then he hit leadoff for a long time. Arraez did.
Yes.
But we're back to Xander Bogaerts batting leadoff. Like that's great. Go back to the 2023 stats. Sure. You look at the 2024 stats. Oh man, probably not.
Third time lucky.
Right. He was dealing with wrist issues in 2023. I don't know how much of the wrist issues he dealt with in 2024. Maybe he did. I think he was getting those shots and stuff. But he hit 5th that year and hit 272 in the 5 spot with a 693 OPS. I mean, his numbers in 2024 were not the best. They got better at the end of the season in 2024. That was the whole point of our conversation last year at the beginning of 2025 when we defended Xander Bogaerts. But to go back, I mean, Prolific's like, well, this is 2026. Why are you going back to 2024, 2025? Xander Bogaerts is getting older, my guy. It's not like he's 26 and getting better when he turns 27, 28. He has already hit the peak. It's going to start dropping off a little bit. That's why you look at some of the stats more recently of what he did in the leadoff spot. If we really want to take a huge dive into this, even though we were going to do that at noon. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Ron in La Mesa, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Ron?
Well, I had to get in here and congratulate you on knocking off the Wildcats this year and staying in that basketball game. That was a compelling basketball game, let me tell you. But let's get on to the good stuff. I agree with you, Braden. The thing with Tatis at the top, as long as you've got a 7th, 8th, and 9th batter that can hit, Tatis fine. So I'm okay with that. And I think our lineup is going to be much better. But what I would go a little bit step farther, I'd like to see a lineup of Tatis first, Laureano second, Merrill third, Manny fourth, and then you can fill. I think Xander should be a 6th or 7th hitter, to be quite honest with you. And I like Cronenworth at number 9. So they can play with that a little bit. Laureano's a good contact hitter. He's got a little bit of speed. I think he would be better up there. Xander, I just don't like him in the top 4 or 5. I really don't. But anyway, now I want to do a little retrospect if I could, Braden. I didn't get a chance to call in earlier this week because I was playing way too much golf. But I want to bring up your little thing with the snails thing. And I've coined your new name as Captain Snailzilla. And the thing of it is, you could actually, the slogan works good, but what you need is just buy you a couple pet ducks. Ducks love snails. Ducks give you eggs. They also crap everywhere, but that's beside the point. But ducks love snails. They'll take care of your problem. You have to pollute the environment with Sluggo or whatever that stuff is. And you're a happy guy, and your oregano's happy. All right, boys, have a great week. Talk to you later.
We'll talk to you later, Ron.
Speaking of ducks. And that one hurt because it came against my Islanders last night.
Nothing like pulling the goalkeeper, the goaltender, with 8 minutes to go in the third.
Thank you, Patrick Wall. You were also playing against Rittich, our backup. So put Sorokin in there. It's a different story.
5-1, big dog.
Put Sorokin in. Well, it's 5-4. But put Sorokin in there. It's a different story.
I like what Nate says. Get a duck and name him Drake. We should ask Drake about that. Drake, you got any pet ducks? You got any pet ducks we can borrow? I don't like the crapping everywhere is what makes it awful. He did. I was buying it for a second. I was like, okay, here for the ducks. Okay.
Then I remembered that ducks were living, breathing animals that need to relieve themselves.
So instead of stepping on snails all the time, you're just stepping in duck crap. A tough sale now, Ron. Eric at Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Eric?
Hi, guys. Great show as always.
Thank you. What do you got for us today?
Tatis. I mean, Tatis is good enough to lead off. We know that. He's the best player on the team. The question is, should he be leading off? I mean, that's really not his game. I think power and driving in runs is that's more of his game. As a longtime fan of the Padres, I've seen this team try to change players into something that they're not. I mean, way back when, Terry Kennedy, I mean, he leads leagues in doubles, and they try to make him a power hitter, and he ends up hitting about 220. And more recently, Sean Burroughs. When he was leading off, man, he was a great leadoff hitter. They told him to start hitting more home runs, and his game just tanked. And, that's I'm not comparing Tatis to those two guys because Tatis is far superior as far as an athlete goes. But I just think that, leadoff is not his game. He's, instead of focusing on hitting bombs, which sometimes can put you in a bad position. Your focus is different when you're trying to get base hits. And like I said, I just don't think that's his game. I think he should be hitting third or fourth. I don't mind having Bogaerts leading off. And, it's just overall, I like the team, how it looks this year, and we'll just roll with it with whatever they do. We'll see how it goes.
Appreciate the phone call, Eric. Thank you very much. The narrative is so funny how it's changed, Frank, from last year, tons of people wanted to see Fernando bat leadoff, to now it's like, oh my God, it would be so stupid to have him bat leadoff. We're going to be doing this again in 2 years when somebody else is in a spot.
That's why I say all fans are frauds, and I am just as equal, if not more so, if fraudulent. Everyone forgets.
Everyone forgets how time heals all wounds, especially with Xander Bogaerts. We're like 6 months out from Xander Bogaerts went from being the cut this guy to we need him batting leadoff.
And you know what the best part about that is? We're about another month away from it being cut Xander Bogaerts time again.
That's right. The annual cut Xander Bogaerts time of the year.
We're about 1 month away from it.
Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. Let's talk about Joe Musgrove when we come back. We're going to recap what he did yesterday and the encouraging signs for Xander Bogaerts, for Joe Musgrove yesterday on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. What a weekend across the San Diego section. First-time champions, overtime drama, state titles, and now everybody turns the page to the Southern California Regionals. Let's start on the hardwood with boys basketball. Victory Christian making history as they didn't have a 20-point score all season, no double-digit rebounder, no superstar stat sheet, but they had something better, balance and toughness, as the Knights knocked down Francis Parker 57-55 at Front Wave Arena to win the program's first Open Division championship.
Yes, and congratulations to them. 3 players in double digits, forced 10 second-half turnovers, held Parker's leading scorer, Tevitt Johnson, 23.5 points per game to only 8, which is huge. DJ Humphreys had 20. Troy Tamina hit 2 clutch free throws with 17 seconds left. Role players stepped up big. Team basketball win all the way for Victory Christian.
Yeah, and here's the bigger theme. They were more physical. Parker's coach admitted it. Victory Christian didn't outstar them. They outworked them. Both teams now head to the SoCal Regionals. On to girls basketball, where Francis Parker does break through. On the girls' side, Francis Parker School got its revenge after losing last year's final. The Lancers beat Westview 66-50 to win their first Open Division title. Freshman Jordan Brown scored 23. Junior Brianna Brown dropped 25 and grabbed 8 boards. They aren't related, but they sure play like it. And Westview led in the third behind UC Santa Barbara Brown's Sarah Hine, who finished with 23, but Parker closed the third on a 14-0 run and outscored Westview 18-6 after Hine fouled out. Defense decided it, and that's the theme we saw all weekend. What about in wrestling?
Yeah, wrestling, Poway puts 2 on top of the state. Over in Bakersfield at the CIF championships, Poway High School juniors Bailey Holman and Mario Carini captured state wrestling titles minutes apart from each other. Carini went back-to-back. Holman won in dramatic fashion with a takedown in the final 10 seconds. Poway finished second as a team behind Clovis Buchanan, nearly claiming the top spot. That's not just individual excellence. That is a pipeline. Slammers Youth to Poway Elite to state champions. San Diego Wrestling continues to produce at an elite level. Congratulations to those 2.
Especially the Poway Titans and their wrestling program that has been the top here, not only in San Diego, but really one of the top in Southern California each and every year. As for soccer, Division II girls soccer, Del Norte High School won its first section title in 10 years. They beat La Jolla High School in overtime 2-1. Freshman Nurika Boyanapali scored the golden goal. On the boys' side, Bonita Vista High School edged Otay Ranch 3-2 in a Metro Mesa Classic. Late game heroics, championship composure. that's playoff soccer. But
Yeah.
when you come about the big picture, what does it say about San Diego sports? Well, are we seeing a shift towards depth over star power in San Diego high school sports? Victory Christian won without a dominant individual. Parker girls basketball won because of defensive runs. Del Norte got a title from a freshman stepping up. Poway wrestling becomes the development and culture. The old formula, get a star, ride with the star. This year's formula, culture, physicality, depth, development. It really just shows the talent that we have here in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also how you build teams. You don't necessarily build them behind one star, because if you build them behind one star, there's a good chance that if you run up against an opponent that can shut down that one star, just the same way Victory Christian was able to, you can run into some serious problems and not being able to score the rest of the way through. And that's exactly what we've seen here. Now you have 18 boys teams, 18 girls teams headed to Southern California regionals. The question becomes, are these feel-good stories, or are we about to make San Diego a real noisemaker statewide?
The state championships start now for a lot of these sports. I mean, wrestling's already done. They've completed their deal. Yes. And there's a couple other sports that are also at that point. But for soccer and for basketball, it's the state runs now. And with a lot of these state championships, the open division, you make the open division down in the sectionals, you get to play in the state regionals. So a lot of these teams that got knocked out in the open division. For basketball, season is not over yet, as they're starting to seed a lot of these tournaments. And what that means is baseball and softball right around the corner. We talked about track and field. We talked about lacrosse. We talked about indoor volleyball and outdoor beach girls volleyball. But next week it's go time. We got baseball this week and softball this week in America's finest city. We'll have some great updates for you on that starting next week. We're going to talk more about the batting order in just a little bit, as we got some numbers here already in terms of like coming up the bat with runners on base, coming up the bat without runners on base. The article suggested that Fernando had come up with nobody on base 399 times. But when you look at all the other numbers, they don't compare in that article what everybody else on the team was doing and how off it was. And we're going to have those numbers in a little bit. But let's look at yesterday. Joe Musgrove's return, Frank. He made his first stadium appearance of the spring after missing 2025 following Tommy John surgery. Threw 60 pitches, 36 for strikes, worked into the third inning, allowed 1 run on 5 hits and a walk, and retired 6 of the 12 batters he faced. Command was inconsistent throughout the outing, but that's to be expected for a guy that hadn't pitched in a stadium game, if you will, in over a year.
Yes.
So this is what you're probably going to see from a Tommy John candidate, if you will. The bigger takeaway is not the stat line. It's that Musgrove is back on the mound in a game environment, and pitchers coming off Tommy John's surgery often struggle with command before velocity. If the command lags into April, it could stress the Padres rotation early, but the Padres are counting on Joe Musgrove to obviously stabilize this rotation behind Pivetta and Michael King, so his ramp-up timeline definitely matters here in spring. We're going to talk more about Joe in a second. Randy Vasquez, he's looking great so far. He might be locking down that rotation spot even more. I know he's been the favorite going into camp, but He continued a very impressive spring yesterday. He entered the fourth inning and threw 4 strong innings, allowed 1 hit, recorded 3 strikeouts, generated 5 ground outs on 2 pop-ups, fastball velocity hovering around 96. I saw him touch 97, 98 yesterday, noticeably higher than previous seasons. Velocity jump is a real story here with Randy Vasquez. If Vasquez is suddenly throwing 96 consistently, this is a completely different pitcher for the Padres and Randy Vasquez. Completely different pitcher.
Yeah, and we've already said that he's more or less got the inside track for that number 4 spot. But I mean, if he's doing that, if he's pitching the way a number 2 or a number 3 should, the way you almost you hoped he would coming over from the Yankees, and the way he was kind of billed as being that ability, I mean, you're getting a lot more than what you sold for Randy Vasquez.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great development. That's the difference again with some of these pitchers. Randy Vasquez is still very young. He's getting older, but he's getting towards his prime of his career. This is why I think Randy Vasquez is going to really get to that next level this year for the San Diego Padres.
Could you imagine for a second? You traded Juan Soto away.
Yes.
For a number 1 and number 2 pitcher in your starting rotation.
Highly possible.
That is massive. That is a massive get for Juan Soto.
Absolutely.
And not only that, you also got another number 1 or number 2 when you traded Drew Thorpe away to get Dylan Cease.
Correct.
So you got 2 number 1s and a number 2 for Juan Soto. That is worth it.
I think so too. I really do. I really do. I really do think that's almost to a point where you got I'm all about the trading for Juan Soto, and now it's even better because a lot of the pieces that you gave up for Juan Soto are not necessarily panning out to the level of Juan Soto, which is the whole risk you take when you trade away those guys. And also the guys you got back are continuing to produce for this team. I mean, Randy Vasquez can be legit this year. That's another big talking point of the spring. And he looked great yesterday. I mean, this is a completely different pitcher. Now, the final rotation battle is heating up today, I should say. This is the big evaluation day for 3 rotation candidates because Walker Buehler, JP Sears, and Tristan McKenzie are all expected to appear in today's game. So not only did we spent the open talking about Walker Buehler and his first Cactus League start and how important it is for him today, you get to see the competition in order, according to these reports. Walker Buehler, JP Sears, Tristan McKenzie, all expected to pitch today. You're going to see these guys all in the same game, going against the same lineup, theoretically, and seeing what they have. The competition is all in this game. All 3 competing for that final rotation spot. Buehler is in camp on a minor league deal. McKenzie pitched just 5 2/3 innings last year in the MLB. Sears has been struggling with consistency, but this is an interesting battle today for the Padres on the mound, and it's not going to be against the Mariners. It's going to be 3 guys going against the Mariners and competing against each other.
Yeah, and this is exactly the competition that you wanted and envisioned going into this spring. And as you said, this is going to be a day where, let's just say you want to make it as even as possible. Buehler gets 2 innings. You get Tristan McKenzie getting 2 innings. Who was the third that you said was
JP Sears is going to
JP Sears gets 2 innings, and see who does the best out of those 2. And that's kind of where you start to give the edge. I would say, I mean, my guess would be most likely would be Buehler, Sears, and McKenzie, probably in that order, as far as like quality of outing. But this is exactly what you hoped for going into this spring.
Absolutely. The competition's going to get one of these guys out of here. We haven't even talked about Griffin Canning because we're not going to be able to see him until May, right? So very interesting on that. The other thing that was a big takeaway from yesterday's game, young players trying to force the conversation. I mean, yesterday's lineup, I think Chris Ello put it out perfectly when we were driving home yesterday, talking about the lineup behind Joe Musgrove. You know, and we already talked about it, but he described it as probably 0 of these guys are making the team. That was the lineup you had yesterday for the Padres. You had guys like Romeo Sanabria. You had guys like Ethan Salas. You had guys like Samad Taylor. What'd you say? Probably what?
Probably.
Yeah.
No one's making the team.
The only one that would be competitive enough is Ethan Salas, and we know he's not making the team. Samad Taylor, though, I mean, these guys are still balling out. They're still playing. They're playing hard, and they're forcing the narrative about playing time either here or elsewhere or in the minor leagues and adding depth. Samad Taylor, 1 for 3 with a bunt single, stole second base and scored. Ability to play all 3 outfield spots gives him roster versatility. Romeo Sanabria, he was 2 for 2 in the game. He's 4 for 13 now with 2 doubles and a home run. He's a 23-year-old first baseman coming off a Double-A season. I mean, that's another depth piece coming forward. You got you got Ethan Salas, top pitching prospect for the Padres. He got his first start of the spring. How about them throwing Salas out there to catch Joe? That was pretty cool. He went 0 for 2 at the plate, but he's still battling back from an injury he suffered last year. So you got a lot of these young players that are really showing out in spring so far, and it forces the narrative for them to be part of the conversation, makes the competition higher, but also, Frank, it really adds to the depth that these guys can stay in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of the signings that we have praised AJ Preller for over the course of this offseason, is being able to get guys who are either on minor league deals or that are going to be with the organization for a while. They're still going to be able to help out with this roster. So, I mean, you can't, for as much qualms as we have had with AJ Preller over the years for trading away prospects and just completely depleting the minor league system, he certainly does know. He does have a very good eye for rebuilding and replenishing it, for sure.
Yeah, he's done a really good job with that. Absolutely great job with replenishing the farm system and they find talent, and they do a good job producing some talent here. But that was some of the big takeaways from yesterday. The World Baseball Classic connection to yesterday's game. Obviously, they played Great Britain. They're preparing for the WBC. Jazz Chisholm Jr. homered in the 8th inning. The British team had to use Padres minor leaguer Sean Boyle to start the game because of pitching limitations before they start playing. So Sean Boyle got to wear a Padres uniform and then play for Great Britain. But WBC has started now. Australian Chinese Taipei last night. We'll talk more about that later on the show. In terms of the metrics for Joe Musgrove, he looked a lot like Joe Musgrove yesterday. We'll go through some of the advanced analytics of Joe Musgrove and why you should be confident in Joe this season based on what we saw yesterday. We'll explain when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Sermon Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We are quickly approaching Selection Sunday. In fact, this week is the first of 2 weeks for conference championship tournaments. Conference championship tournaments are going on right now in college basketball, the first of the couple of weeks, and they have 31 spots on the line for automatic bids. And right now, according to ESPN.com, 29 total locks across Power 5 plus Gonzaga, Utah State, and St. Mary's for at-large bids. The SEC and the Big Ten are driving the bracket volume. The ACC is more fragile than ever right now, and the Mountain West could be in danger of shrinking to 2 bids. But the real drama, it's the bubble, and it's chaotic.
Yeah, it always seems to be the bubble as well. Now, we'll start off with the should-be-ins. These ones are tracking safely above the cut line, but definitely are not immune. Out of the SEC, we're seeing Georgia, Missouri, Texas. Nothing really surprising there. Big Ten, you have Iowa, UCLA, Ohio State. ACC, you're seeing Clemson, Miami, and SMU, the Southern Methodist. Big 12, you have Central Florida. Others, you have St. Louis.
The Billikens, Frank.
Yes, out of the Atlantic 10. So
these are all teams that should be, they're bubble teams, but they should be in. I think they've done enough to get to that point.
Yeah, and Ohio State just had a big win this weekend, too. They just beat Purdue at home. So that was a big win to help their case out. Do you want to do the work to do teams, or do you want me to?
There's teams in the work to do, and this is the true bubble, if you will. These are the ones where every win, gets them closer to solidifying a spot, and every loss is just, devastating. And unfortunately, San Diego State finds himself in this work to do bubble. These are teams that probably have to win 1 or 2 games in their respective conference tournaments. So teams that have work to do in the SEC, it's Texas A&M and Auburn. I don't know how Auburn is still in the bubble. I really don't. I don't understand the entire situation with Auburn. The nepotism hire of Bruce Pearl's son to take over the program, which a guy that had no head coaching experience whatsoever at the college level gets the job like Auburn, and they're 1 game above 500. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games. I'm sorry. I don't know how you could put that team in the NCAA tournament, even if they win out. I don't understand how you could put them in the NCAA tournament. It makes no sense to me with Auburn being a bubble team. I mean, they're the first team out right now. Are you kidding me with this SEC bias?
But SEC,
I don't see the connection there. I mean, you look at a team so they're in there with Texas A&M, Indiana, and USC. Indiana's dropped 4 straight games, and they've looked awful. That's another team that's just still hanging around. Got to get them in the NCAA tournament. I mean, God forbid San Diego State loses a game at New Mexico, which, by the way, no Power 4 school would ever sign up to play. Not a single Power 4 school would ever sign up to play at New Mexico, but we're going to punish San Diego State for losing at New Mexico. We're not going to punish Indiana for losing 4 straight. We're not going to punish Auburn for losing 7 of 8 and being 500. No, we're going to punish the Aztecs for losing at New Mexico. This is where the biases jump in. The ACC, Virginia Tech, and Cal, they have no business being in the NCAA tournament. Absolutely not. TCU and Cincinnati. As much as I am a TCU alumni, and they've been playing really good basketball as of late, they lost the game to New Orleans at the beginning part of the season. I mean, so they have their own qualms too. At least with the Big 12, statistically and metric-wise, they are the best conference in college basketball right now. So them and Cincinnati are hanging around. In the Big East, Seton Hall, the fact that the Big East is a power conference and also only getting maybe 3 teams in, also a joke because it's not part of the autonomous 4, if you will. Other mid-majors to consider. Miami of Ohio. I don't think they've done enough to potentially make the tournament if they don't win their automatic qualifier bid. I know going undefeated is one thing, but unless they go undefeated and then lose in the MAC championship game, I don't think they're going to be in. Santa Clara, New Mexico, San Diego State, VCU, South Florida. These are all the mid-majors and others that are battling for a spot. But we talked about this on the Aztec update, and during our show, there are 37 teams or spots available for an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. And right now, 34 of them, according to Joel Lenardi and other bracketologist predictors, they have 34 of those spots being sent to Power 4 schools.
It's just, unfortunately, it's just the way it is. And speaking of which, let's take a look at that cut line. Right now, looking at the last 4 buys, you have Georgia, Missouri, A&M, and Texas getting the last 4 buys. The last 4 in right now, you're showing Auburn, you're showing TCU, you're showing Santa Clara, you're also showing Indiana. First 4 out. This is kind of where you're starting to see the problems here. Cal, New Mexico, Ohio State, and USC. The next 4 out, VCU, Virginia Tech, Seton Hall, and Cincinnati. So Aztecs not on either one of those lists, meaning you're most likely done.
Well, some of those, that was the cut line that involved San Diego State being the automatic qualifier if they lost to New Mexico. As of right now, you can insert them in the second spot on the first 4 out. The New Mexico is actually one of the last 4 teams in on this particular deal. And that, by the way, by the time you watch this, it's going to change 1,500 times anyway. These are all the teams that are battling for spots as of Monday, March 2nd. SEC's got a bubble bloodbath. They got 5 teams sitting right on top of each other, Georgia, Missouri. Tonight for the Bill House Studios, we know how. Be sure to stay tuned for the 1 o'clock hour for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to be giving away tickets for Aztecs basketball for tomorrow's game against UNLV. It is the season finale. That game will be March 6th at 7 o'clock. Again, we will have that for you in the 1 o'clock hour. Also, remember to listen at 1 o'clock for us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey Suite, a future Padres game with all the fan staff. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. Let's talk a little bit more about Joe Musgrove. And Frank, you have found this on social media, and we have seen this now start to populate more and more. But there's a lot of accounts now posting advanced metrics for pitchers. And we saw this graph yesterday on Joe Musgrove, and there's a lot of stuff on there that we can break down from this particular graphic.
Yes. So let me, I did put the link in here, did I not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there it is. Okay. So this is from a Twitter account called Pitcher Profile, Pitch Profiler, pardon me. This is the graphic. We'll show it here on screen. Let me save it so this way we're not seeing the stupid comment section there. But this and other accounts like it are really starting to pop up to show how pitchers are doing and what that's not it. Show what pitchers are doing and how their mechanics and their release point, how it affects and how hitters are reacting when certain pitches come from a certain angle and where the release point is. So this is the graph that we've been looking at here. And
here's the thing. Like when you look at this graphic, and there's a lot of information on here, you got to break things down. Overall, this is from yesterday from Joe Musgrove pitching in a Cactus League game. Overall, his stuff looked healthy. This is what it's telling you. His velocity is normal to what it has been. His spin rates are strong. His curveball yesterday was elite. Pitch mix looked typical for Joe Musgrove, and the whiff rate was solid for a short outing. And for a first appearance after Tommy John, nothing here raises any type of red flags. And this is the bottom line of what happened yesterday. I mean, you can look at his overall numbers. If you look at the top right part of the box, it shows you the usual surface stats that you would see. And the surface stats say he gave up some contact, but spring training and, going against the WBC tune-up game, stuff evaluation, not really results for this particular outing. If you look at the left part of this graphic on YouTube, again, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube page. You can see these breakdown. If you're driving around listening right now and you want to see what we're talking about, you can go to our YouTube page and rewatch this particular segment at youtube.com/@B_SURP. You can find it there. Oh, foul on that guy, by the way. Braden Ward, who plays for the Red Sox, he's wearing number 92. I just looked up. He spells his name wrong in a bad way. He spells his name. I can't believe I got it. This is how bad of a tangent this is. This is how bad he spells. He spells his name so wrong. He spells it Braiden. What are we doing?
Squirrel.
Terrible. Foul on Braden Ward's parents for spelling their son's name wrong.
He draws the foul.
That poorly. Okay.
Squirrel.
Back to Joe Musgrove. If you look to the top left of the graphic, this will show where his arm releases the baseball. And the key idea here that you want to look for is consistent release good equals good mechanics. And if you look at that graphic, Frank, that looks pretty tight for where he's releasing every single pitch yesterday. Tight cluster means his arm slot is consistent. Mechanics look repeatable. No obvious post-surgery compensation. That's a good sign after Tommy John. These are the things that you are looking for in outings from guys coming off of injuries. Consistency on the location.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is showing that. That's one of the things that was brought up in this little breakdown here. His mechanics are good, which means whatever he is doing is not being affected, whether intentionally or subconsciously, by him having the surgery. He's back to his old release. He's back to his old ways as if he never had an issue to begin with.
That's the biggest part of this entire thing. Now, the movement profile, that's in the middle chart. And what the movement profile tells you is it breaks down like the axis, the vertical movement, the horizontal movement. Obviously, vertical movement is up and down. Horizontal is side to side. each color cluster on that particular graphic is a different pitch. For example, the red cluster on there, four-seam fastball. The blue is his curveball. The brown is his cutter. The green is his changeup. And what that tells you is Musgrove's pitches are separating well, meaning hitters are seeing different shapes to the pitches, which is good. For example, the curveball drops a lot. The fastball rides up. The cutter moves more sideways. Pitch separation makes hitters uncomfortable, especially when you go back to the part of the graph on the left where you're seeing the release point come in at the same spot. That means his stuff was looking pretty good yesterday, Frank.
Yeah, and that's another thing that pitchers try to do, and I'm sure you've heard about tunneling when you're talking about pitching, is you want your fastball to come out of the same spot, come out of the same tunnel as your curveball to where the hitter can't pick it up. It's when you start like telegraphing where your fastball and where your curveball are coming out of, it makes them easier to hit. So if you have the same release point on all your pitches, which is virtually what Musgrove had, and you're seeing how much movement is coming out of those pitches, that's where you start seeing success as a pitcher.
Let's look at his breakdown of his pitch mix. So the pitch usage, that's on the right part of this chart. And it tells you how often he threw each pitch versus lefties and righties. And when you look at that, this is also good news for a guy coming off Tommy John, because he threw his fastball 33%, he threw his cutter 20%, his curveball 20%, his sinker at 12%, his changeup at 7%, slider at 5%, sweeper at 3%. And the takeaway, this is classic Joe Musgrove, because he has always been a 7-pitch mix guy. And this tells you that Joe is comfortable throwing everything again post-surgery, as you saw him display all 7 of his pitches yesterday in spring training.
We're talking pitching. I felt like I needed to
hold the rock a little bit.
Just
get the feel.
The same way we have, the same way Mark Grant always does. I just felt like I needed to have a baseball in my hands. But yeah, it's nice that he's also not shying away from any pitch. Now the sweeper might be a newer pitch for him, so he may not be using it as much. But this is a very, very good sign. That means whatever torque is being put on his arm and whatever spin he's trying to get is not affecting his elbow in any way, shape, or form. So he's comfortable throwing whatever he needs to throw in order to get a guy out in any situation that he needs, which also it lends very, very well to him having recovered properly from this Tommy John surgery.
There's so many things with this that you can break down. But like the thing that really is the best takeaway from this is everything looked like Joe Musgrove. That's the biggest takeaway from this particular outing yesterday. Regards to the results, this is what like teams are looking at, right? This is why this chart is being broken down on social media. But you know, the velo on there is obviously his velocity, how fast he was throwing his pitches. He was throwing his fastball at 94.1, and based on a lot of the numbers on there, that's right in Musgrove's normal range. So that's good post-surgery. Spin via the RPMs on that sheet. Higher spin often equals better movement. His curveball, 2965 on the RPMs. Excellent spin on his curveball. Elite curveballs often spin around 2,800 to 3,000. So he's right there in the elite curveball portion from yesterday. Induced vertical break. We've talked about this a lot. This is how a pitch fights gravity. Higher number makes the ball look like it stays up longer. For example, his fastball at 5.4 inches. Anything above that makes it look like it's rising on them. And like we talked about, elite level for that is around 18 inches. It doesn't go as high in the desert, high altitude, usually. So I wouldn't look too far into that when it's fastball.
That was one thing that we were talking about, the induced vertical break, that Nick Pivetta was getting elite levels of induced vertical break last year. And then he had his first start in Colorado and he was getting pummeled. And it was because he didn't have that induced vertical break that he would have had at any other stadium because of the altitude.
Correct. The horizontal break, that's, side to side. How much does the pitch move left to right? Example, his changeup, 14.1 inches. That's big arm side run and good for missing barrels. VAA on there, vertical approach angle. The angle the ball enters the strike zone, flatter angle, harder to hit. Musgrove's fastball, negative 5.52. That's a pretty solid Major League Baseball range. The HAA, horizontal approach angle, how the pitch approaches left or right into the zone, used mostly by pitching labs to evaluate deception. His numbers looked okay there yesterday. EXT, extension, how far the pitcher releases the ball toward home plate. Musgrove, approximately 6 feet, more extension, ball gets on hitters faster. You could talk about the arm angle too. Arm slot of the pitcher. Musgrove's about 47 to 49 degrees. That's a high 3/4 arm slot, typical for him. Important because consistency equals healthy mechanics. And the very important stat here is the pitch quality metric of Pro Stuff Plus. And the scale is simple. If it's 100, it's Major League average. If it's 110 plus, excellent. 120 plus, elite. And a lot of the examples from yesterday, if you look at his Pro Stuff Plus mix for his pitches, slider, elite level at 123, sweeper, 109, above average, curveball, 104 above average, changeup around average at 101. His fastball was a little bit below average, but his breaking ball stuff looked excellent yesterday. And this is all things that are running into him and his first start since Tommy John surgery. I look at this chart, Frank, and I was encouraged from yesterday's outing in terms of what I saw with my eyes. When you look at the details of this outing from Joe Musgrove, this sheet really gives you a pause and no longer a cause for concern to an extent, but definitely a step in the right direction of having Joe Musgrove be ready to go come the season time.
This is what we talk about when we say you don't know what pitchers are working on and you don't know what managers are looking at. This is the kind of stuff that managers are looking at. When you see a guy give up 5 hits over 2 innings in spring training, that's not what they're looking at. This is the stuff that they are looking at. They want to see spin rates. They want to see whether or not a guy is feeling and looking like his normal self. So the next time you get into this situation where you're overthinking some guy, like do it with Walker Buehler today, starting in the next 20 minutes or so. This is the kind of stuff that the Padres are looking at to determine whether or not he can be a number 5 starter in this starting rotation and not his final line.
Whiff percentage, often hitters swing and miss. Example, the curveball was 100%. That means every swing missed. Small sample, but that's great on the curveball. His cutter was about 50%, very strong. Overall, 25% whiff rate. Solid for a short outing for Joe Musgrove. If you want to look even deeper, they got run value, which is RV divided by 100. This estimates how effective a pitch is at preventing runs. Negative numbers equals good. Example is fastball, negative 0.7. His cutter, negative 3.3. Negative equals hitters struggled. And overall, here's the key takeaways from this. What this means for Musgrove. The numbers actually say from yesterday that Joe Musgrove looked like Joe Musgrove. The velocity was normal at 94 miles an hour. His spin rates were strong, and his curveball looked nasty with almost 3,000 RPMs. The advanced metrics say his breaking stuff graded above league average, and hitters were missing and hitters were missing bats. For the first outing after Tommy John surgery, the biggest thing you're looking at in this is, does the stuff look normal? And according to the pitch data, it absolutely did. And that's a big plus for Joe Musgrove, Frank.
Yeah, he looked exactly how you would expect Joe Musgrove to look metric and analytics wise. The line, again, not necessarily what you're looking for. The fact that he threw 60 pitches, not great. But the fact that you're seeing him not afraid to use any of his pitches, not afraid to use his normal mechanics without any adjustments that he knowingly made. That is what you're looking for out of Joe Musgrove, because that means his elbow feels back to normal. He feels good. He feels comfortable with everything that's going on out there on the mound, and he feels in control. And coming off of Tommy John surgery, that is the most important thing.
3 big takeaways from Joe Musgrove's outing yesterday, aside from the stats and the fact that, he looked pretty good stat-wise in yesterday's game. But the 3 biggest takeaways are the velocity is back. 94 miles an hour, normal Musgrove. That's number 1 coming off of Tommy John surgery. Number 2, his curveball looks elite. We talked about this a couple of times already. Almost 3,000 RPM spin. This is elite level on his curveball, which is a great pitch for Joe. And he had a 100% whiff rate. I mean, that looked nasty yesterday, his curveball. Something to look for in the rest of spring training as Joe continues his progression. And number 3, his pitch mix is still intact. He was still able to throw 7 different pitches, meaning his full arsenal is back. That's great. That's the best news. Everything in terms of where he would be at if he was favoring something or still hurt or not up to where he was before Tommy John to show that he has declined did not show up in yesterday's small sample size. That's the good news. That's the big takeaway out of Joe Musgrove's outing yesterday, Frank. It was everything looked normal, and now he can continue to build off of what he did yesterday and hopefully get back to somewhat of the level of the pitcher that he was in a Padres uniform before he got hurt. Because if he continues on this path and he gets to where he was before in a Padres uniform after Tommy John surgery, this makes that rotation even better. And guess what it does? It makes that Fangraph snap number for over-under on wins look even more erroneous, because the biggest knock on the Padres right now in terms of their over-under number for wins and losses is the starting pitching. And this is a good sign for the starting rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, that makes my very, very nitpick that you can only take, the only negative you could take is that he got hit. There were a couple of times, I think it was 7 of the batters he faced had an exit velocity, whether it was a hit or not, of over 95. That can be a problem. But again, when you're trying to pay attention to what his issues are, or what his issues should be coming off of Tommy John surgery, when you're looking at all of those metrics like we just did, it's about as good a sign as you could possibly get.
I'm encouraged by these numbers. Again,
Yeah.
A lot of the times,
Cautiously optimistic.
You see, and what was the account again that posted this stuff?
Pitch Profiler. There's another one that's going on. There's another one that's going around now too, which I haven't seen again, but I know I followed it. But
and with this Pitch Profiler again, I mean, you see the graphic and you're just like, what is this? What is it explaining? What does this, mean? And so with the breakdown that we just gave, hopefully it helps you kind of read these charts a little bit better, because sometimes you see all this stuff, right? Like, I just pulled up Tetsuya Mai. I'm like, right off the top, what am I looking at? But after you dive into and research a little bit on this, it makes it a lot more informative on whether or not the guy did well or not.
yeah, Pitch Profiler seems to be the more accurate one. The more not accurate, the more present of the two. It's posts from every pitcher all around Major League Baseball, or most every pitcher.
Yeah, they just posted Taj Bradley for the Twins 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, they just posted. I mean, they've posted Sandy Alcantara. They've posted some of the Brewers guys. Luis Perellis, they just posted from the Nationals 9 minutes ago. So this is also the account that said that the Padres are a demon factory. So they're paying attention to what's going on.
I think so too. I mean, there's a lot of good numbers here that we want to break down, and we'll see what. And I can't wait to see what Walker Buehler stuff. I can't wait to see Walker Buehler pitch.
Yeah,
coming up.
Speaking of paying attention to what's going on, Sam Levitt's doing that. He's coming up next.
He is coming up next. We're going to ask him a couple of things. Ask him about the batting order and everything like that. I have the numbers too, like, because everybody was pulling from Kevin Acey's article. A lot of the numbers are very similar. It's not like they're very off. We'll explain that later on the noon hour as well. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Noon lunchtime hour when we come back.
time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Noon lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
Where are the tacos at? I'm looking forward to the tacos. Nothing hits like preseason tacos, and nothing hits like spring training, Sammy, as we are out there live at Peoria, Arizona, for what is going to be a pretty big, very big day in Cactus League action for the Padres. In fact, I spent my entire open, Sammy, talking about this. But as we introduce Sam Levitt from Peoria, Arizona, I want to mention that his coverage is brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It is better. Sam, I spent my whole open on how this is probably one of the most intriguing and exciting spring training games you're going to see because of who's pitching today. Not just Walker Buehler, but the competition. What's been the vibe around camp about some of these guys getting to go? And, what do you expect out of some competition out there today?
Yeah, I think it's one of the more intriguing games we've had so far for the reasons you just mentioned. Walker Buehler, obviously his first Cactus League game today. Nice opportunity for him, and also for the guys who follow in JP Sears and Tristan McKenzie, guys that are obviously fighting for a rotation spot. And in Buehler's case in particular, I think it's going to be really interesting against a good lineup in Seattle. No Cal Raleigh, no Julio Rodriguez, but obviously they've got talented guys. And coming off that outing over the weekend against the NC Dinos from the KBO, one where the reports were really positive as far as his velocity and how it went, and this continuing process with Walker Buehler in trying to figure out sort of the quote-unquote new version of himself, as he works with Ruben Niebla and this pitching group. I think it's a big day for him, and certainly a big day for the other guys as well, as we, I think, come down the home stretch here. 2.5 weeks left. We're getting towards that final third of spring training, and it does feel like out of the last handful of days, one of the more notable games we've had because of who is pitching.
The Walker Buehler story is very interesting. Tom Krasovic had a really good column on Walker Buehler a couple of days ago and talking about how he was expected to get drafted by the Padres out of high school. He was waiting for his name to get called. They started Walker, and then it was Weichel and not Buehler. And he was so upset, he immediately went in the other room at his draft party and called Vanderbilt and said, "I'm coming to college." And then he goes out there and dominates for the Dodgers. He posts a 1.61 career ERA against the Padres. And now, kind of full circle moment, a guy that was supposed to be a Padre to an extent, ends up going to the Dodgers, torments the Padres for his almost entire career, now has a chance to really save the rotation and be a big impact this year. I think that makes that storyline to this particular case even more intriguing going into today.
Yeah, I think outside of just the pure baseball part of it, you're right. I think the idea that this guy was an LA Dodger and somebody Padres fans despised up in LA, now they have an opportunity to root for him if he ends up making the team. And he is somebody who could really help this team if he can find it again. And I think that's going to be the big question. And also kind of a cool storyline is seeing, can Walker Buehler become sort of like a new version of himself? And he's admitted this and acknowledged this. Look, he's not the guy who threw super hard anymore, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. That arm has been through a lot, but it does feel like Ruben Niebla, this pitching group, they're the right group to work with a guy like Walker Buehler and figure out what that next step, what that next part of his journey is going to look like. And again, from everything I've heard, the returns have been encouraging as far as velocity, as far as what he's using pitch-wise, his mix. So today is another interesting step in that potential journey for Walker Buehler towards a spot on the opening day roster. We'll see.
These things kind of tend to find a way to play themselves out because you got a lot of options that don't have options, if you will. We've talked about this a lot already, but you got the Griffin Canning situation. You got Walker Buehler. Randy Vasquez has looked really good. He looked great again yesterday. Excellent. His velo's going up high. I mean, you want to have as many pitchers that are starting pitchers as possible, but has there been any conversation about like, man, this Walker Buehler does really well, or one of these guys battling for a spot does really well before Canning shows up? I guess there's ways to kick the can down the road with rehab assignments and stuff, but it's very interesting to see what could play out here if Walker Buehler does shove and earn his way onto this team.
Well, it's a good problem to have. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. Look, we make a really big deal out of the opening day roster and who's in the rotation when the season begins. But the reality is, and Braden, I think you've made this point on your show before, the reality is, your quote unquote number 5 starter, typically for a lot of teams, that's made out of, excuse me, sorry, it's a little bit of my lunch salad. Typically, that number 5 spot is made up of a lot of guys throughout the year. And there's a pretty good chance you might have one guy for part of it. He gets hot. Another guy for part of it. We'll see. I think ideally, if a guy like Walker Buehler makes the team, hopefully he's great all year. And hopefully somebody can grab that and that 5th spot and hold it down. And you have depth beyond that. So we'll see. You're right. Guys like Matt Waldron, who, by the way, was on the bullpen mound today through a very normal looking bullpen. So I will tell you that the idea that Matt's going to start on the IL doesn't look that way to me, considering he's already throwing bullpens. Now, I'm not sure when he's going to get back into facing hitters, get back into a Cactus League game, but he's already throwing again. So, look, that's kind of a prime example of a guy who's out of options, right? And if you don't give him a spot and he's not on the IL to start the year, then you're going to have to put him on waivers and you see what happens from there. So you're right. Walker Buehler forcing them to put him on the roster would definitely create an interesting scenario for some others, but I ultimately think it's a good problem to have if you feel like Walker is somebody that can help you.
Starting pitching also had a nice little boost yesterday too. You got to see Joe Musgrove back. His overall stat line was okay. It wasn't necessarily crazy. We went over the numbers. Spin rate super high with the curveball. That was at an elite level. His velocity, Joe Musgrove's, was back to what it was with a fastball before he ended up having Tommy John surgery. Arm slot in the consistent spots. I mean, everything you look for in the metrics of a guy being able to compete after having Tommy John surgery. You got to like the way that Joe Musgrove pitched yesterday and the way that he felt. From anybody that missed it earlier in your interview with Joe Musgrove, how did he feel after yesterday's outing?
Yeah, I think he felt good, and that's the most important thing. I really would not focus on the results and the up and down nature of those 3 innings. The fact that he got out there, had 3 up downs, and seemingly felt good and healthy afterwards, that's the main thing for him right now. I thought it was interesting after he pitched and he spoke with myself and some other media members beyond the right field gate. Look, I think for Joe, this is going to continue to be a process. I mean, he said a couple of really interesting things yesterday. Number one, he said, look, I understand that most guys, not most guys, but some guys, they say they don't feel totally back and totally right until 2 years after the surgery. And obviously he's not there yet and wouldn't be there until the end of the season. And he also said, because he was asked, well, what are your expectations for yourself this season? Because I think there's kind of like when guys come back from Tommy John, there's a wide range of kind of first years back. Some guys come back and they're amazing. Some guys, it can be slower, right? And they can admit that it can be slower coming back and you're not really all the way back for a while. And his answer was, well, I have desires, but I haven't really put expectations on myself. He desires a lot of things. He wants to stay healthy first and foremost. Obviously, he wants to be effective and good and do everything he can to the best of his ability. And with Joe, you're going to get somebody that's going to go out there and give it his all. I mean, that goes without saying for him. But I do think it's very clear when he speaks that he understands this is a process. Like, yeah, he may not this season at least feel like he's back to pre-injury Joe Musgrove. Now, he said, I'm going to go out there and compete and give it my all, and you would expect nothing less from Joe. But I do think it's something to just acknowledge as we get towards the season and Joe gets towards making his return in the regular season. This is still a process for him. So, we'll see how it, shakes out and how it transpires over the course of the year. But it was interesting to hear him kind of reflect on that yesterday. And I think this is going to be kind of like a start by start thing of how he looks and the stuff and how he's feeling. And as long as he continues to progress and come out healthy, I think that's really what you're looking for right now. And hopefully he's as close to pre-injury Joe Musgrove as he can possibly be.
We're talking with Sam Lev. He's live in Peoria, Arizona. Give us the couple weekly updates for you on the Padres, and the game has officially started as the Padres and Mariners get underway. Padres are the road team here in Peoria today, so Walker Buehler has not towed the rubber yet, and we'll be giving you updates on that throughout the show. Young players are forcing the conversation a little bit. We saw it yesterday. All young players in the lineup. Got to see a lot of depth pieces potentially.
Yesterday was quite the ball game.
Yeah, as Chris Ello put it yesterday when I was driving home. To look at the roster, I'll tell you that 0 are probably making the team out of the gates. That's the expectation. But Samad Taylor's doing pretty well this year.
He's doing a nice job.
Romeo Sanabria is doing a really good job. Ethan Salas is coming back from injury. Cool that he got to catch Joe Musgrove yesterday as well. Just some of the players that played yesterday. But overall, Sam, you got to see a lot of these young guys. And whether it's playing for the Padres or for somebody else or depth pieces, there's a lot of young players that have been given an opportunity that are really forcing a conversation right now in spring.
Yeah, I think Sanabria is a great example. I mean, this is a guy who is a homegrown guy drafted by the Padres, finished last year at AA, hit some home runs, plays a good first base, played in a big ballpark in San Antonio last year. So I think he hit 16 home runs last season, and I think he spent the whole year at AA without looking at his baseball reference page. I haven't looked in a couple of weeks, but I believe that 16 all at AA. It's a good example of like this time of year, Sanabria is not going to be somebody that's making the team and getting on a 40-man roster out of spring. However, you watch what he does, and it's been against, sort of the late game guys, but that's the opportunity he's getting. But it is like somebody that gets on your radar this time of year, and you say, you know what? That guy has a nice swing, and he goes the other way well, and he's big, and he has power, and I think he's somebody you should keep an eye on at AA and wherever he finishes this season, because who knows, you might come back next spring and that guy had a great 2026 in the minor leagues, and you come back next spring and that guy is really competing for a spot and really could play a role in 2027. Again, I wouldn't expect he's going to be up in 2026, but if he continues his trajectory, I think 2027 could be a year for a guy like Sanabria. He's already at AA. So, that's a good example of a young guy who's playing well, turning some heads. Obviously, Samad Taylor's a little bit older, but he's also done a nice job. And look, we're going to find out as we come down the home stretch of spring training if a guy like a Samad Taylor can come in and steal a spot as far as 40-man and a bench spot. So we'll see. But you're right. Guys are getting opportunities with some of those guys leaving for the WBC, and guys like Sanabria and Taylor and Jace Bowen and some others, they're doing a nice job taking advantage for sure.
We had some news, obviously, earlier this week. Alex Verdugo is part of the Padres organization. Now, as reported, he signed a minor league deal. He's in minor league camp. At this point in spring training signing, I mean, it doesn't sound like he had really any major league opportunities out there, but not a bad chance to take if you're the San Diego Padres to, again, fill some depth. He's different than a lot of the other guys that they brought in that can theoretically opt out and try to go somewhere else. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of suitors for Alex Verdugo. Have you been able to watch him at all? I know you're very busy out there. Have you been able to talk with the organization? I mean, what's the Alex Verdugo update? You can get a lot of people, because we've had a lot of people ask about it, and I continue to say minor league contract, minor league camp. What's been the outlook so far for Alex Verdugo?
Yeah, I have not talked to him. I've watched him. I saw him take some live ABs on the backfield. Was it yesterday or the day before? And look, from what I understand, the fact that he's on a minor league deal and in minor league camp, I mean, I would expect that he's going to be, probably in the minor leagues to start the year. Now, is he somebody who can get Cactus League at bats? Yes. Is he somebody who you could bring up at some point? Yeah. And look, when you have as much major league experience as he has, even though the last couple of seasons haven't been particularly pretty, but when you have that kind of experience, do I think it's out of the realm of possibility that he comes up at some point in the year if they need him, if they need an outfielder or a left-handed hitter or whatever it might be? Yeah, it would seem very, very possible. So, look, he's on a minor league deal. He's in minor league camp. We'll see where it goes from there. He's just the guy who happens to have a lot of major league experience in minor league camp. So I don't have a ton on it beyond that. I've seen him a little bit. I haven't talked to him yet. I will at some point, and we'll go from there. But for right now, he's on the backfields working with other minor leaguers.
I'm going to ask a follow-up question for you to digest on. And it's just kind of floating out there with what could potentially be going on. Obviously, you won't be able to know, but Alex Verdugo getting picked up, and with Bryce Johnson being a guy that's out of options, does that and Ty France has done a pretty good job. I mean, when you're talking about roster construction, is that kind of a situation? It might be maybe a backup plan just in case they decide to keep Ty France instead of Bryce Johnson.
Maybe. Maybe. We're going to see how it plays out. Look, I continue to think that Bryce Johnson has a really good shot to be that final bench guy.
We've talked about that. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I do. It's tough because there are a lot of options. There's a lot of ways they can go with it. They're not committing to anything. I mean, Craig was asked today about, is it important to have a guy who can pinch run on your bench? And obviously Bryce Johnson is definitely that guy that you could say late in the game, at first base, 9th inning, tie game, nobody out, you're sticking him at first base and putting him on to pinch run for whomever, right? We'll see. I would think if having some outfield depth and having a pinch run type is important to the Padres on their roster, it's very difficult to me for me to see a scenario where Bryce isn't on this team, because there's kind of one guy that provides that right now as out of those options. On the 40-man, look, if you want to go and take some Odd Sailor, sure. But, again, that requires a move, and that would also require you not putting Bryce Johnson on this roster. And I also, would mention, and we've talked about it before, he hit a little bit last year.
It's not like he's hitting a $150 and he's just good for running.
That's part of it. So, on one hand, we talk about this competition for the final bench spot or two. And again, it kind of depends if you want to put Song as a lock or not. And by the way, he's kind of interesting today because he's playing shortstop, which is a place that he has not played. So that's kind of a new wrinkle for him, putting him at shortstop today in the Cactus League game. And it sounds like they're also going to put him in left field at some point. So
that's interesting too.
That's another feather in his cap if he can prove that he can be even more versatile defensively. But, I continue to maintain with Bryce Johnson that as long as he does the things he needs to do, it's kind of hard to see where he's not that final guy, although there's obviously no guarantee of that. So we'll see. You're right. Could be a bit of just, hey, here's some extra outfield depth in case we end up not putting a Bryce Johnson on the opening day roster and lose him. So you're right. Maybe that's part of it, but we'll see kind of when everything shakes out at the end, how we ultimately view a signing like a Verdugo. It also, Braden, could just be, hey, he's a guy with major league experience. He's a guy that is in your system and you might need him at some point in the year and might be better than the alternatives my tongue is tied. The alternatives that you could bring up at the time.
Especially when you have according to a lot of people out there, the 30th ranked farm system. I mean, you got to be able to build up depth in some particular way.
That's the thing, Braden, too. And this is not a knock on the system. I think it's more reality of the system right now. I mean, your young pitchers, well, I should say your pitching prospects are all, for the most part, really, really young.
Correct.
And from a position player standpoint, as far as guys that if a guy got injured in the first week of the season, like you could go, okay, we have this big prospect, this guy who's been at AA, AAA, ready to come up and help us. Doesn't really exist.
You don't really have
not in the
guys.
traditional sense. So you need some options down there, which I would imagine is part of it. Look, that's kind of the minor league world the Padres have right now. The reality is, when they need somebody, it's not going to be some homegrown prospect coming up for the first time that you feel like could stick around for 10 years. It's just not that reality right now. So, maybe that is part of the thinking behind a guy like Verdugo and some of these other names that are here, that it provides you. You got to, if you don't have that depth in a homegrown sense, you got to go find it, because you're going to need it at some point during the season.
The questions that have now popped up because of the actions of some signings and where guys are playing makes this even more intriguing and interesting. Sam, we appreciate the time. Now you got to get back to what you've been doing and some other stuff out there. So appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you next week. And thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go over to the stadium right now and should have some post-game reaction from Buehler and maybe some others as well, depending on what happens in the game.
Looking forward to that on social media. Sam Levitt joining us from Peoria. He joins us via David P. Shapiro. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorney. He's helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Sam Levitt joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. Walker Buehler has started. How would the first at bat go? Well, we'll tell you when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Number Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. Dramatic week across the board for the Terreros. Record-setting shooting nights, blown leads, emotional senior day moments, walk-off baseball games, and a softball bounce back. Now everything shifts towards postseason play and conference positioning. Let's break it down for USD. Let's start with men's basketball. Historic shooting, tough finishes. The headline game of the week came on the road against the Oregon State Beavers. USD erased an 8-point deficit in the final 39 seconds of regulation, drilling 4 3-pointers in that span to force overtime. Part of a program record 18 made threes on 43 attempts. Tenari Lane had a career-high 24 points. Juanse Gorosito added 17. 12 of USD's second-half field goals were from beyond the arc, but at overtime, 0 for 7 from 3, 4 total points. Oregon State won 92-82, which led to a weekend game against Portland, Frank.
Yeah, in that weekend game against Portland, USD led by 14 points in the second half before surrendering a 22-0 run in an 87-74 loss. Terrero shot 53% and dished 24 assists, but turnovers in the second half, defensive breakdowns, absolutely flipped that game around.
And the result of that is San Diego will play in the first round of the West Coast Conference tournament, something they've been trying to avoid the entire season, and playing on that Thursday night, which is very tough to do because they're going to have to play 6 games in a row if they want to, if they want to win the West Coast Conference tournament. So one game at a time, but a tough seed. They got the 11 seed in the WCC tournament. And we'll see what happens in the final kind of games of the Steve Lavin era before they decide to hire a brand new head coach for basketball. Women's basketball, a senior day response. I think the women's team has been gritty all season long. They've hung tough all season long. They had a tough outing against Oregon State last Thursday, who is one of the best teams in the conference. And if it wasn't for a 3-game losing streak, the Oregon State Beavers would have been right there for West Coast Conference championship. Instead, LMU wins it, who the women's team for USD actually beat this year at home at the Jenny Craig Pavilion. But that was a tough game. Oregon State's got length. They got tall players, a lot bigger size than USD's women's team. They beat them 83-49 after what was a slow start and a difficult fourth quarter. But senior day told a different story. They honored 2 seniors on senior day, the Rhodes sisters, Haley Rhodes and Jaden Rhodes. Haley Rhodes had 18 points in the game, was the player of the game, but it wasn't just her. A couple of freshmen, Frank, also did really well, and Olivia Owens and Jessica Ajayi.
Yeah, Olivia Owens had 17 points, 10 rebounds, double-double for her, and then Ajayi goes out there and hits the go-ahead 3 as USD was able to rally late against Pacific, 64-59, closing out the regular season on a very emotional high before heading to the West Coast Conference tournament in Vegas.
They also will open up on a Thursday. Their game will be at 2:30 on Thursday in round 1 of the West Coast Conference tournament. There was a lot of chaos in the WCC for women's basketball, but USD wasn't going to be able. They weren't going to fall nor gain a spot with the result on Saturday. Baseball had a tough week. After a really good start to the year. They lost to UCSD on Tuesday in a 4-hour and 50-minute game over at Triton Ballpark. They answered that with a walk-off win in extra innings of their own. So they had back-to-back games, 10 innings, where they were able to knock down Michigan on a CJ Moran walk-off single. After that, tough sledding for the Terreros against the Michigan team that looked like they were very angry after the first night.
Yeah, they lost the next 2 games, 9-0 and then 9-2. Bright spots, though, Aiden Howard extending his on-base streak to 11 games. Connor Meidroth, has a hit in every single appearance so far, and also crowd showing up as well. 4 straight 1,000-plus members in the crowd for a non-conference weekend for USD baseball. That's rarefied air for them.
Yeah, they had a big student section presence on Friday night. I mean, more than 1,200 fans packed Fowler Park, and a lot of students in the bullpit that were giving Michigan a lot of problems. I heard a lot of stories about the Michigan players having a bad time with a lot of frat guys over there for USD. So rowdy crowd on Friday led to a win. Didn't have the rowdy crowd on Saturday and Sunday, but still had a lot of good people there at Fowler Park. A tough weekend series, but San Diego will try to bounce back. This week against Cal, it's a 4-game series that starts on Friday. They're going to play a game Friday, a doubleheader on Saturday, and the game on Sunday up at Berkeley before playing USC next Wednesday at brand new Dado Field after it was remodeled. So a lot of opportunities for the Terreros still early in non-conference play. As for softball, early punch, strong rebound. Softball opened the week with a 5-0 loss to crosstown rival San Diego State after surrendering 3 first-inning homers. We talked about that on the Aztecs portion of these breakdowns. USD then beat California All right. Well, we were observing on MLB Network, but now we're not. So here's what happened in the first inning for the San Diego Padres. On offense, they jumped out on Luis Castillo. I almost called him Gonzalez for some reason. They jumped out on Luis Castillo. Single by Jake Cronworth to lead off the game. Double by Merrill. And then Laureano struck out swinging. Gavin Sheets hit into a fielder's choice out. And then Nick Castellanos struck out swinging to end the inning. Bottom of the first inning for Walker Buehler. He walked Brendan Donovan on 5 pitches. Fastball was sitting at 92. He then struck out Rob Refsnyder swinging on 3 pitches. He had a sinker at 91.2. He had at 92 miles an hour. He had a slider at 86 that Refsnyder fouled off. And then he got a swinging strike on his 81 mile an hour sweeper. He got Luke Raley to ground out, which I thought was pretty bang. I don't necessarily know that was going to stand in a regular season game if they decided to challenge it. But he got Luke Raley to ground in the force out to retire Donovan at second base. That was a 90 mile an hour cutter that was at 103 miles an hour. And then Luke Raley ends up stealing second. And against Mitch Garver, started the count 1-0, and then 94 in the sinker on a called strike by Walker Buehler. Garver fouled off the sweeper at 82 miles an hour, fouled off the knuckle curve, which is the first knuckle curve that Buehler has thrown today. Fouled that off at 77 miles an hour. 94.7 mph on the four-seam fastball as a ball, and then he got Garver swinging on a sweeper at 83 miles an hour. So far, not too bad for Walker Buehler in his first stadium outing in a Padres uniform. So pretty cool to see so far out of Walker Buehler. We'll keep you updated on that as the game continues. They have now made it to the top of the second inning. Now, Frank, I do want to discuss, I know Frank's busy working on a lot of stuff over there. We have so much content to put out your way. If you missed any of the content, you can find it at youtube.com/@B_SURP. If you do that on your search, you will find us immediately. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 825 right now. It's free to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button, and you'll be able to subscribe. For the members, we're working on the badges and all that stuff. Juan was asking about it. I have made all those. I made a lot of cool ones. I think Frank has seen them on Canva, and trying to export them. You have not seen them?
No.
It's on the very bottom of the page.
Son of a gun.
We're trying to put it into YouTube, and it's a pain. YouTube is rejecting the file size. I've been working on that for the last couple of days. I have gotten so fed up working for it, plus baking a cake, that I haven't done it in a while. So I'm going to have to fix that, trying to work on it. But you can be a member. We appreciate everybody that is a member. Thanks again. We're going to add some more member benefits as we go along here in the month of March. But we are posting some things from earlier today. The pitch breakdown and a deeper dive analytically into Joe Musgrove's mix from the other day. That's going to get posted soon. We also have extra content on my open today on Walker Buehler. We're going to have that on there. We have individual content now from all the different teams here in San Diego. That's going to post. We post 2 videos daily, and we really appreciate that. Also, when you check those out, if you want information on the NHL and the NBA and all that stuff, we got it for you on the Braden Surprenant Show page on youtube.com. Again, it's easier to find our content when you subscribe with YouTube, because then when you pull up the YouTube app or you're on youtube.com, we're the first thing that shows up. All your subscription do. It's very easy. Shout out to Dorian Trucking, who listens to us. He's up there in Fontana trucking around. Truck driver Mike, appreciate it. A lot of truck drivers. We try to keep you entertained as you do a big service for us out there, delivering tons of stuff, especially in this day and age.
If you're anywhere near the racetrack up there, please tell them to fix it up soon.
To build it back? Is it even still there?
The front stretch from like pit entry to pit exit is still there, because they said they wanted to build a short track around it, and they tore everything down, and they have not touched it since.
As Augie mentioned too, if you are on YouTube right now and you give us a like, a baseball appears. So give it a shot. See what happens. We really appreciate that. 1-0 Padres. Your boy Sung Moon Song.
Yeah, that is a Sung Moon Song solo home run.
How
Look
fast
at
was that pitch? Please tell me it was over 90. 95!
We're getting there.
95 mile an hour fastball. Sung Moon Song.
We're getting there.
105 miles an hour, 430 on the distance. He crushed that. Now he's got some wind, but he
for the Padres
crushed that. Wow. Sung Moon Song. Hey, he's getting something. It leads to a question that I want to get into. And we got to take a break. But some of the stuff we talked about with Sam, some of the actions of the Padres and what they're doing roster-wise, it really asks a lot of questions about what this bench is going to be. And now with Sung Moon Song hitting the ball over the fence, interesting conversation that we're going to have. And a lot of it has to do with Ty France.
Oh, almost.
And Ty France just doubled off the wall. We'll talk about the Ty France spring, how it's affecting the lineup, and what the moves the Padres made recently and what it tells us. We'll talk about that when we come back to the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. It's our final deadline week, if you will, for the winter sports. We're officially in deadline week for the NHL, and this is where front offices decide, are we going for it or are we folding it? Friday at noon Pacific is the trade deadline. Some big names have already moved, including Artemi Panarin landing with the Los Angeles Kings. Got his coach fired at that point.
Yes.
But this week is about who's willing to take the big swing, because in today's NHL, fortune favors the bold. And we'll talk about the local aspect too with the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, the Ducks made a lot of moves the last couple of years in shipping off talent. I'm curious to see if they're going to start acquiring some talent. But there are some teams now where the clock is ticking, starting with the Edmonton Oilers, who are now dropped behind the aforementioned Anaheim Ducks in the standings.
Yeah, so let's start with the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid gave this franchise 2 more years on a team-friendly deal. That's basically flashing red sirens saying, win now. But the problem is your goaltending right now. Tristan Jarry has a 0.860 save percentage since arriving in a trade that swapped the 2 goaltenders between them and Pittsburgh earlier this year. That's not just shaky. That is a playoff killer right now. They're giving up the most high danger goals in the league. If you're serious about winning the Stanley Cup, you cannot roll into April and hope the goaltending situation figures itself out.
Well, yeah, and Jerry got pulled from the game against Anaheim last week, and then they were able to bounce back against the Kings in the next game. But if Edmonton doesn't add either a legitimate goalie or a shutdown defenseman by Friday, they're wasting a Connor McDavid prime year.
Yep.
And we say it on the open all the time. You cannot waste a Manny Machado prime year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Edmonton, you can't be wasting Connor McDavid prime years. That is organizational malpractice.
It's like doing something as ridiculous as wasting the prime of Mike Trout.
Oh,
wait a minute. Hold on.
The Angels did that.
Staying in the West, Seattle Kraken right now, sitting in a wild card spot. They've been gritty. They've been tough. They're winning games 2-1, 3-2. Issue for them right now is that no one has over 40 points. Nobody has on the team has over 40 points, and they only have 120 goal scorer. They've aggressively sued Artemi Panarin. They really they were ready to pay him. So that tells you that they are ready for a superstar. Wondering if a guy like Nazem Kadri could be an option for them, might bring a cup ring and some bite. But but the reality in this league, you do not win without elite game breakers. And right now, Seattle just does not have those.
Yeah, Seattle can sneak into the playoffs as constructed, but they won't scare anyone without a top-tier offensive star. If they stand pat, they're playing for competitive, but not for the cup. And that's what everybody is playing for in the NHL. Is it time to retool if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs? It's a fascinating one, Frank, because for years, people have said that they were regular season kings who disappeared in the playoffs, and now they might not even get there. They might even make the playoffs. Austin Matthews just captained Team USA to Olympic gold. He's doing his part, but the roster around him is very much underachieving. Pending unrestricted free agents everywhere, restricted free agent questions. This feels like a franchise at a crossroads.
Yeah, it certainly does. And the thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point is they've had to lose guys because they don't have enough money in the cap. They lost Mitch Marner to Las Vegas because of that, and they chose to keep guys like William Nylander around, and it really has not worked out for them. Toronto right now should sell, not tear it down, but just reset the depth, reverse the usual add at the deadline trend, because this group as constructed has gotten to its peak. It has plateaued, and the Maple Leafs really just cannot go much farther than where they're at with the team as it is right now.
As for the Pittsburgh Penguins, one more swing for the Pens. Surprise team. Pittsburgh Penguins, second in the Metro, $10.5 million in cap space. Sidney Crosby motivated after missing the Olympic gold medal game. If you're general manager Kyle Dubois, why wouldn't you swing big and add a shutdown defenseman, add another scorer? This isn't a rebuild roster. This is a one more ride roster with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if Pittsburgh stands still, that's conservative thinking, and conservative thinking doesn't win championships.
No, it does not. And a lot of the core guys on that roster, if you're thinking about a positive, if they don't go for it, you're not like, oh, this guy has been here for so many years, he's gotten so close. It's not an Alexander Ovechkin situation where he's gotten here, he's been here his whole career, he's gotten so close, he just hasn't won that ring yet. Pittsburgh's won a couple in this Crosby, Malkin, Letang era. So they have taken it home. They do know what to do in order to get it. They just have to be willing to do it, as a lot of these guys of this core hit the twilight of their careers.
Let's talk about the wild card watch. And there's some games to keep an eye on this week. The Los Angeles Kings are 3 points out, but they got a tough schedule coming up. San Jose, 5 points back. But Macklin Celebrini is leading the charge for them. Columbus Blue Jackets 7-2-1 in their last 10, quietly surging in the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number sports station 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot of conversation here with the Padres and everything like that. I had a red pen explode on me, and now it's all over the place. Look at my hands.
See it on your forehead too.
I know. I don't know
it
how
right
it's
up
on
there.
my forehead. I'm going to touch my face. Look at that. I look like I cut myself.
Really stop doing that.
I know. I got to throw that pen away. I had a broadcast one time. Look at that. That's crazy. It's literally all over my face.
I should really throw that pen away. Throws it over towards Woodsy's seat.
Well, there's no trash can over here.
There's one over here.
I got it off my face, or at least off my eye. How?
Teacher Braden broke his crayons.
Yeah, apparently. Dude, one time I was doing, seriously, look at this. I was doing a broadcast with a pen like that exploded. I'm doing the game for USD. I got a suit on. And I'm doing the game, right? And I'm like, I look down, and my hand looks like this. Okay? I immediately start freaking out, thinking I'm bleeding somewhere. Because it looks like it's just blood is all over my hand. Have you ever been there? Ever done that?
Yeah.
Not a great feeling.
No, it's not.
Plus, you're trying to be like calm, cool, and collected because, I don't know, I'm still calling a basketball game. And I'm immediately thinking, because I'm a hypochondriac, I'm immediately thinking I'm dying.
Oh, God.
Oh, 100%. Nobody is a bigger hypochondriac than my dad, but I am probably second on the hypochondriac thing. I mean, everything is just like, it's over. It's over. So the
Terrero's with the layup, and folks, it was fun while it lasted.
100%.
I'm gonna die now. Bye. My send off.
It's like the guys on the Titanic. It's been an honor playing with you guys tonight.
It's been an honor
calling this game
tonight.
here in the first quarter. Yeah, inked on. I got the grid of the ink off my face. It's all over my hands. I went over there I was using the pen.
I love using those because that's one of the gel pens, right?
Yeah, I buy.
I love using those pens. I've never had one of those explode on me.
They explode all the time.
Never had one of them. What do you do with those pens if they explode all the time?
I think it's when I travel with them. Because they're just in my backpack. Because I buy like the 32 pack that has all the different colors for broadcasting for my book.
I do the same thing.
Okay. They explode on the inside, and I don't know how it's possible. It's like starts leaking out through the top, and it's all over my hand. And then I touch my face at some point, because as we do. Although I should avoid that with you and Ello being sick the last 2 weeks, whatever it may be.
We do have a couple of things that we can. Oh, did he catch that?
Doesn't look like it.
Might have trapped it. We do have a couple of ways we can go with this segment here.
Anyway, I like these type of pen. These are my favorite type of pen. You know when you find a pen that you like and you just want to use that pen?
Yep.
Like I even have, pull it out. I got brown for the Padres now because I was using the blue one for the book, but I got a brown one.
You should have told me. I got like a pack of 5 of those. I could have given you one.
I have a pack of the brown ones.
Yes.
Oh, I bought a 10-pack. I bought a 10-pack before I even knew you. That was like when the Padres first went to brown.
Huh.
Those G2 Pilot pens, they're elite.
They're amazing.
But
they're the best pens
they
out
explode and then you think you're dying.
Now, like I said, we do have a couple of ways we can go with this segment. Number one, we can either just converse and sort of break down a little bit more what Sam had said, and we can play the Midday Sports Standoff.
We do have to play the Midday Sports Standoff. 833-288-0973.
Or we could do the sports thread, which we did not do yet either today. And we completely whiffed on Tuesday because we had Sam at noon and then stuff just got pushed back and piled up.
Plus, we were loading up on the Joe Musgrove conversation.
Yeah.
About his pitch numbers. Okay. I do want to get to the sports thread. 1 o'clock, we don't have any like guests or something. Airplane pressure can cause that. I'm sure that's the case because I travel with my backpack and I don't like take everything out of it. Some of these pens have exploded. 100%. 100%. And as I could tell, all over my face, and then my hand. I wiped it off my face, thank God.
Phrasing?
Don't be in. The ink is just all over the place. It was. I wanted to hear. It would have been great if you were there when. And I just heard this ad the other day. I love this ad. I get my balls jumbled up. The LO.
Yes.
It's the funniest ad ever. It's the funniest. It kills me every time. Oh no! Circus in left field.
Yeah, we're having a mayor in left field.
Oh my God! Does this count as the Vetter Cup standings?
Yes.
That's a You know what? For every time Castellanos got host, there you go.
Wait a minute. The Yankees got mercy ruled today? Sweet.
By the Twins.
Love it. 15-0, 7-inning game. Love to see it.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the sports thread here, and then if you want to call in for the midday sports stand-up,
I think we might have somebody here. Hold on.
Maybe we'll do that, and we'll do the sports thread at 1. We'll let Frank deal with that, and then we'll give away here's what we're going to do in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to play the game, or we're going to do the sports thread, and we're also going to give our biggest fan, and in the 1 o'clock hour, we're giving away Aztec tickets.
We do have the standoff.
All right. Is today like what pens explode?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes,
Let's get to the midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
What colors do G2 pilot pens come in?
God, every single one of them.
Nice, go Aztecs. Love it. All right. What do we got? Who we got playing today?
We have Chad in Mission Valley playing today. Chad, how are you?
What's up, guys? Doing good. How's everything going over there?
Good for the most part.
Yeah, it's been better. I mean, we've had less ink all over the place, but anyway.
I was going to say this pen situation seems like it's dire, so we can get back to that.
It's rough. It's compelling.
It is. It is great radio. Today's question is, which of the 2 people sitting in this room are a goober that has their pens explode all the time? Today's question.
Looks like I'm getting some free tickets.
Yeah,
today,
exactly. Today's genuine question is, much in the same way as we had earlier this week, we had who did the Padres send to the World Baseball Classic this year? Today's question is, who are the 9 Padres that played in the World Baseball Classic in 2023 that actually played on the Major League roster?
So they were Padres in 2023.
Yes, that played regular season games for the Padres in 2023.
Did you go through to make sure everybody of these guys played in these games?
Yes, okay. I did. So
there's
Chad,
9 of them?
There are 9 of them. Chad, you have the first guess here.
Okay, Machado.
Manny Machado did play for the Dominican Republic in 2023.
Xander played for the Netherlands because he's from Aruba.
That he did, and you didn't have to say it like that, but yes, he did. Chad?
Tatis played then, right?
No,
this is
he did not.
First.
Yep, this is his first WBC. Chad, first strike. Braden?
Did he actually? Nick Martinez played for Team USA, didn't he?
Nick Martinez did, in fact, play for Team USA in the World
or
Baseball
something
Classic.
like that. Did he only play pitch in one game, or there was something like he had like a Tarek Skubal kind of deal where he wanted to go and then he did it and then he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Chad?
How about Musgrove? Did he play in 2023?
No, Joe Musgrove did not.
I have a feeling that. Oh, you know who did? Nabil. Nabil Krismat played for Columbia.
Nabil Krismat did, in fact, play for Columbia in 2023. Chad, you got 2 strikes on you.
We have 4 out of 9.
You have 4 out of the 9.
Yeah, 4 out of 9. Okay.
A couple of big names on here we're missing.
I'm sorry. It's still the second inning.
Oh, it's 2023. Oh man. How about Cronenworth?
No, Chad, unfortunately, that is 3 strikes. Jake Cronenworth did not play in the WBC in 2023. Braden, you want to take a guess to see if you could finish wiping the floor up here?
Well, since now that I've won, the other guess I was going to have is I'm pretty sure Luis Garcia pitched for the Dominican. He didn't?
No, he did not.
Really? I thought he pitched for the Dominican. They probably had another Venezuelan on there somewhere. I thought they had a couple of those guys. Did Rugnet Odor? He didn't play in that either? Well, Robert Suarez did.
They have 1 Italian, 1 for Japan, 1 for Korea, and 2 for the Dominican Republic.
Darvish.
Yes, Darvish is 1.
So that was Japan. You had an Italian?
Italian, yes.
Was it Nola?
No, it was not.
Nola didn't play. The Italian ones are hard.
It was the same position.
Oh, another catcher somewhere.
He is not on the Padres as we speak.
Well, yeah. I could have told you that.
He is a Colorado Rocky and was in the lineup yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Was he really?
Played 12 games. He was the DH yesterday.
The DH for the Rockies yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was Sullivan. Brett Sullivan's an Italian?
Yes.
Is that
Brett
another
Sullivan?
hit? This inning is still going on?
It is 9-0 at the moment.
Oh,
or
my
possibly
God.
10.
Are they even going to let Walker Buehler
It's
go out there
10-0.
and pitch the next inning? This is a long time of him sitting down. Okay.
Got 1 Korean and 2 Dominican.
Wait a minute. Didn't Jurickson Profar play for the Netherlands?
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did.
In 2023?
Yeah, he played for the Netherlands. He didn't. He that was the season where he got picked up, like at the end of the season for the Padres. But he played for the
He might have been
Netherlands.
listed as a free agent then on Wikipedia. So
He probably
that's
was,
probably why I missed
or
it.
he was listed as a Rocky or something because he played that whole season for Colorado. All right, so we're missing a Dominican. Juan Soto.
Yes, Soto, one of them. So there's another Dominican and a Korean.
The Korean's Hassan Kim.
Yes, and then one more Dominican.
Nelson Cruz.
There it is.
Did he play?
There's the
Oh, yeah,
9.
he was the manager and played or something.
Brett Sullivan, Xander Bogaerts, Yu Darvish, Ha-Sung Kim, Nick Martinez, Nabil Krismat, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, and Nelson Cruz were the Padres that actually played Major League games for the Padres that went to the WBC.
I can't believe the second inning the Padres have played so far. Just to recap, did they finally get out of the inning?
No, pitching change.
That's a second pitching change.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. This inning started with Miguel Andujar ground out, by the way.
Oh, really? I thought it was the Sungmoon Song.
No, that was the second at bat.
Well, there you go.
Miguel Andujar led off and grounded out. Sungmoon Song hit a home run on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Gotta love that. Ty France doubled. Freddie Fermin doubled. Jake Cronenworth walked. Jackson Merrill reached on an error by second baseman Ryan Bliss. Ramon Laureano singled, and then they took Luis Castillo out.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon Laureano then stole second base. Gavin Sheets singled. Made it 5-0 Padres. Nick Castellanos singled. Miguel Andujar, coming up for the second time, walked, which walked in a run. And then Sungmoon Song struck out. Ty France hit another double to make it 8-0. And then Freddie Fermin singled to make it 10-0.
And here comes Croney.
And Cronenworth is up for the third time today and the second time this inning in the second as the Padres lead at 10-0. Could they potentially? Well, they gonna run rule team in 2 innings. There's no way. They got to get these guys some work. Oh no! Did he just?
Jake high,
oh
deep,
my God!
and gone.
It's still
2-run home run for Jake Cronenworth.
No disseminating.
12-0.
No disseminating. Okay, now you can do it. 12-0 Padres.
This is what, a 10, 11 run second inning?
Yeah, it was. No. This is a 12. This is all these runs have happened this inning.
Bloody Nora.
It's a 12-run second inning for the Padres because they went down 1-2-3 in the first. No, they didn't. They got guys on in the first, and they stranded them.
Correct, yes. 12 runs, 11 hits, 1 error.
MLB Network. MLB Network is desperately trying to flip this game to something else. 12-0. Amazing. 1 o'clock. We're going to get to the sports thread. We're also going to announce today's biggest fan. We got Aztec tickets to give away next hour as well.
Tony Gwynn Jr. here. I'm in the booth for the Padres all season long. So weekdays at 2 p.m., I'll sometimes pull the curtain back and give you a peek at what's going on from the inside. Only on 97.3 The Fan.
The 12 o'clock lunch hour is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Whether you're craving gourmet tacos for lunch or a craft beer for happy hour, the Craft Taco is the answer. Open in Sereno Valley and at the Natural History Museum in Balboa Park.
Wake up your system with alkaline clarity. Ditch the plastic bottles for EcoWater SoCal. Call 760-350-3338. 760-350-3338. Not everything should be hard, especially your water. Go to EcoWaterSoCal.com.
Hola,
Hi,
mijo. Come in, come in.
Can I get on your Wi-Fi? I totally forgot to bring my second SIM card.
Bienvenido. Please make yourself at home. On your right, you'll find the coat check, also known as that one chair buried under everyone's jackets.
Huh?
To your left, our luxurious resting area, also known as the living room couch, recently vacuumed.
What?
Here we have Matias, a local canine.
Mom, I know my dog. Can you talk normal?
Please follow me outside for family rituals involving carne asada and unsolicited chisme.
Mom, why are you acting like it's my first time here?
Your family would never treat you like a tourist when you come home. So why let your phone plan do it? AT&T keeps you connected in Mexico just like in the US at no extra cost. No SIM swaps. Connect like you're home. Requires eligible plan. Roaming may be at 2G speeds. Visit AT&T.com/One Network for details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100.
Ready to ditch the screens for some family splash time? At Master Spas of California, we make it easy to relax and rejuvenate together. Our latest technology offers mineral systems for naturally pure, crystal clear water with minimal maintenance. It's the perfect environment to teach your kids to swim or enjoy a quiet soak. Now is the time to buy. Visit our showrooms in Brea and Escondido or find us at masterspas.com.
This is the Game of the Week report brought to you by Hyundai. Monday night's pro basketball schedule is set to bring the heat as the postseason nears. First, a marquee showdown takes center stage as Cleveland hosts Philly and are eager to climb the standings. And out west, Denver heads into Oklahoma and Salt Lake City will take on Golden State as they look to upset one of the league's most experienced teams. The Game of the Week report is brought to you by the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid. Learn how it's so much more than just another SUV at HyundaiUSA.com.
Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right it almost feels wrong. Because right now you can get great deals on our most popular models, including our adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe or Santa Fe Hybrid and the Tucson or Tucson Hybrid. Plus, there's our bold and stylish Elantra, loaded with the latest tech, or go all-electric with the Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 9. So get down to your local Hyundai dealer and get away with a deal you'll love during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for details.
Padres, Cubs, Cactus League Baseball on the Fan.
And Merrill gets there to make the catch.
Our coverage begins Friday at 5 p.m. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
What's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. This show thrives on your calls, your stories, your energy. Let's talk San Diego. Weekdays, 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Yeah. I got 1, 2, 99.
Well, it's 13-0 in the bottom of the second.
That's 12-0.
It's 13 on this sheet. Stat sheet's probably off.
So, is MLB Game Day wrong, or is the graphic on television wrong? Because Game Day has 13, television graphic has 12.
Game Day has 13 because he says Laureano doubled and scored Jackson Merrill to make it 13-0.
I thought Merrill held up at third there.
I thought so too.
It looked like he did.
So,
I think Game Day's wrong.
Game Day, they put the stat in wrong. I can't wait for them to go fix that. Because I thought they held him over there.
Yeah, because it was runners on second and third.
Yeah, it says Ramon Laureano doubled and scored Jackson Merrill 13-0.
Wow, the one time there's a dispute and the television graphic is actually the one that's right.
Yeah, all of the things say 13-0. Except for the actual game.
See what ESPN has.
ESPN is 13-0 as well because they all take it from the same feed. So whoever's doing the stat sheet put it in wrong.
Sam.
Is that the official deal?
Sam, what's the matter with you? Why are you breaking stuff, Sam?
Yeah. Oh, they fixed it. They fixed it.
Stop swiping and pay attention,
They
dude.
fixed it. It says Ramon Laureano double on a fly ball to right fielder Luke Raley. Jackson Merrill the third, 12-0.
Well, they were listening.
Patrick Wisdom singled. Patrick Wisdom, regardless of what team he's on, owns the Padres.
That's good.
That guy has dominated the Padres.
That's good wisdom right there.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I will say this. This is kind of unfortunate for Walker Buehler because that guy's been sitting for like almost 40 minutes.
Someone's song is out of the game as well, by the way.
Really?
Acuna's at short, at least from what I just saw on the back of the guy's uniform.
Interesting.
I mean, unless that inning was long enough, he probably did appeal to Arizona court to get his name changed and it go through in that time.
All right, so Walker Buehler had a really good first inning, and then the second inning lasted forever on the top. There was 2 pitching changes, all that stuff. So now Buehler started off single, triple. Honestly, you can't really knock Buehler that bad. The guy's been sitting forever, which is unfortunate. But Sammy Lev's just getting crushed right now. Sammy Lev needs to put down Hinge to be able to do that, Frank. Sammy swipes an extra run. Terrible. All right. It is time for today's biggest fan. Is it not? It is time.
It is. It's time for the biggest fan. It's time for the sports thread. It's time to give away Aztec tickets. It's time for a lot of things in this hour.
Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Israel Alvarez in Chula Vista. Israel Alvarez in Chula Vista. Give us a call in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this season, catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97throughthefansd.com/biggest-fan. Israel Alvarez, you got 10 minutes. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right, you ready for the sports thread?
I am ready for the sports thread.
Let's get to it.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
All right, Frank, what do we got going on in the sports world today?
Well, we'll start off with 1A, and that this is one that came out just a couple of minutes ago. It was reported by On3. Trinidad Chambliss is no longer done with court appeals, as the NCAA has now filed appeal with Mississippi State Supreme Court to try to get his just blasphemous appeal that he got from the last court to get another year of eligibility.
From the judge that went to Ole Miss?
Yeah, from the judge that went to Ole Miss that asked for an autograph afterwards. The NCAA has now filed an appeal with Mississippi State Supreme Court.
As they should.
Yes, as they definitely should. So that's 1A. Here is
number 1.
Actual number 1.
Yes, actual number 1. The Akron Zips football program has received an NCAA waiver restoring its postseason eligibility for next season after being banned in 2025 due to a multi-year academic progress rate score of 914, below the required 930 threshold. The penalty had reduced Akron's practice time from 20 hours a week to 16 hours per week, but the program can now return to full practice limits and will be eligible for the MAC championship and a bowl game if it reaches 6 wins, marking a fresh start for a team that went 5-7 last year and hasn't appeared in a bowl since 2017. How much can APR penalties set a program back, and does restoring eligibility give Akron real momentum heading into next season?
I don't know, because they're like working on potentially having bowl games be only 10 and then have Power 4 teams play against each other. It was like a report, and then they would have to have their own bowl game. I don't know. I don't know. There's just too much up in the air right now. I mean, they filed a specific waiver, right, to say that it shouldn't count towards our bowl eligibility because our football team is not passing classes. I mean, why do you even have that rule in play anymore? Why is there even eligibility anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
What are we even doing in college athletics? Nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. So
number 2.
Speaking of not knowing what the heck is going on, let's go to the NBA. Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and nearly 3 dozen co-defendants are scheduled to stand trial on November 2nd in federal court in Brooklyn after pleading not guilty to charges tied to alleged mob-rigged poker games, with Judge Raymond Reyes setting the date as prosecutors review how to divide the large group of defendants into manageable trial segments. Federal authorities said plea offers are expected for at least 12 defendants, while others are in discussion. And the evidence includes body camera footage, surveillance video, financial and phone records, as well as roughly 7 terabytes of electronic data, as Billups, currently on unpaid administrative leave from the Portland Trailblazers, remains free on $5 million bail. If high-profile sports figures are convicted in gambling-related cases, how lasting is the impact on their legacy and on the league that they represent? The NBA has not had a good year this year.
No, I don't think it's bad for the NBA. I think it's bad for the players. I think it's bad for everybody involved with basketball or whatever sport has a scandal like this and continues to have scandals like this. I mean, I just saw, the NHL has put in I think they've just signed a deal with one of the predictive markets, if you will, and they asked Kalshi and all this stuff, and they asked the commissioner or whatever, the NHL, about it, and he said, well, we have the right to deny any bets any predictions that we see unfit to our league or whatever it may be.
And the natural follow-up question was,
have there been?
And Gary Bettman's answer was
no.
It
was no.
Good job, Gary.
It's a fine line. These guys they're walking.
Awesome job, dude.
We want all the money for it, but we want everybody to obey by our rules.
Exactly.
Stupid.
Number 3.
Hunter Greene has left Cincinnati Reds spring training camp due to right elbow stiffness and will undergo an MRI in Cincinnati before being evaluated by team orthopedic consultant Dr. Timothy Kremchek and Neil Elitrej, raising early concerns about the health of the club's projected ace. Greene, 26, is coming off a strong but abbreviated season in which he went 7-4 with a 2.76 ERA and averaged an MLB best 99.5 miles an hour on his four-seam fastball through, though he was limited to just 19 starts in 107 2/3 innings due to prior injuries. After making his first All-Star team in 2024 and battling past elbow soreness and groin issues the past 2 years, his status will be closely monitored as Cincinnati looks to build on its recent postseason success, or return, I should say. If Greene is sidelined for an extended period of time, how much does this alter the Reds' outlook in a competitive National League?
This is very bad for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yes.
This is multiple times now. Hunter Greene has had some issues with his arm. The fact that he's meeting with Neil Elitrej is not great because he's the one that does a lot of these Tommy John surgeries and everything. That's not great news for the Cincinnati Reds nor Hunter Greene for the future. And if they don't have him, that's a devastating blow to the Cincinnati Reds early in this season. Now, when looking at other things in the Cincinnati Reds, you see their game today, they jumped out to a big lead. Emilio Pagan gave up 3 consecutive homers to the Dodgers. They're coming back. You have some wild scores in baseball today.
Yeah.
Twins run ruled the Yankees. Padres are up 12-2 on the Mariners in the third inning, and the hits keep a coming. A's up 8-0 on the Angels at the top of the third. What in the WBC is going on, Frank?
Yeah.
But for the Reds, that's bad news. And for the Padres who compete with the Reds, hey,
great news.
Helps out for you. And you're getting it just shows you how things can change in spring training with injuries. You just hope that the Padres stay healthy.
There's a silver lining to everything. All right.
Number 4.
The NCAA announced that schools participating in the Division I men's and women's basketball tournaments will face financial penalties if they fail to comply with a new mandatory player availability reporting policy, marking the first time such reports are required for NCAA championship events. NCAA championship events, of course, is code for betting. Teams must submit an initial status report, available, questionable, or out, by 9 p.m. local time the night before the game, and update it 2 hours before the tip-off, with fines escalating from up to $10,000 for a first offense, 30 for a third, plus a $10,000 for the head coach, a $10,000 fine for the head coach. As the NCAA says, the policy is aimed in part at reducing betting-related harassment.
It's a deal you make.
Due in part with reducing betting-related harassment and pressure on student athletes, with the tournament serving as a pilot program for potential expansion to other sports. Will mandatory injury and availability reporting meaningfully protect student athletes from gambling-related pressure, or simply add another compliance burden for the schools? God, I hate people so much.
Well, I mean, they're doing the injury report stuff. They got to, it's too much on the line for these guys to not do that. They've made these deals. They've made their bed. Now they got to sleep in it. Is that our last one?
It can be. Yeah, sure.
Interesting.
Pats are releasing Stephon Diggs.
Not surprised. Not surprised with his track record off the field. And he didn't like this past couple months, and then he hadn't really done anything either. DJ Moore got traded to the Bills today.
Yes.
I don't think that's that great of a trade for the Bills as much as Bills fans do. I really don't. I look
Bills fans and specifics
Bills fans at this point. Yeah. So I don't know what did the Bills give up for DJ Moore? Because this strikes me as just typical Bills stuff. I'm the Bills. I like to trade for receivers that are old and don't do anything anymore. Here's DJ Moore. Can I show you DJ Moore?
Buffalo sending a 2026 second-round pick to Chicago in exchange for Moore and a 26 fifth-round pick.
Maybe this addressed the receiver situation. I don't really think he does. Is DJ Moore a number one receiver? No, he's not. It's probably a 2 or 3. He was a 2 or 3 in Chicago. That's why they gave him up. A second-round pick for DJ Moore? Is that what you said?
A second-round pick for DJ Moore and a fifth. So they're getting Moore and a fifth.
So they traded away a second-round pick in this year's draft.
Yes.
For DJ Moore and a fifth-round pick.
In this year's draft.
And this is the guy that fired Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
And blamed him for, I forget the guy, Keon Coleman getting drafted. What a stupid trade. DJ Moore. Are you kidding me? I immediately said, because this is the text I woke up to today. DJ Moore? Anyone mind? It's like, really?
Yes, we do.
I was like, yeah. If this was like 3 years ago, if this was trading for Carolina Panthers, DJ Moore, then like, sure. But you're not trading for Panthers DJ Moore. You're trading for DJ Moore, who last year had the worst year of his career. The worst. He played in all 17 games for the Bears last year. He had 85 targets, caught 50 passes for 682 yards and 6 touchdowns. That is the worst production he has had in his career. The worst. The absolute worst. What was that about?
It's a birthday today.
Huh?
It's a birthday today. A special birthday today. Not, of course, your friend's,
it's my friend's birthday today. Whose else's birthday is it?
It is EC Money in the chat's birthday as
Oh!
well.
Happy birthday, EC Money.
Happy birthday.
Wow. EC Money. Happy birthday, man.
Everybody in chat, spam Easy Money with happy birthday messages. Did they just...
They hit another home run,
Oh,
while you were
goodness.
talking to whoever that was to announce the birthday. It is 15-2 in the third. Wow. What a great productive day. No, the Bills, that's a terrible move by Chicago, or by Buffalo. Great move for Chicago. They picked up a second-round pick. They were never... I mean, DJ Moore's not one of their best receivers. He got targeted 85 times last year. That is second lowest besides his rookie season in Carolina. He had 682 yards receiving. That is the worst amount, least amount of receiving yards he has had in his career.
Look at all the great birthdays that get shared on Randy Jones Day.
I know. R.I.P. Randy Jones. That's the left-hander. Great man. Great to honor Randy Jones. You know what? The team's honoring Randy Jones today on Randy Jones
they're
Day
about to score 35 runs.
by having the exact opposite of a Randy Jones Day, which would be a game in an hour and 45 minutes. This game started at 12:10. It's 1:17, and it's the top of the third.
Again, granted, 17 runs have been scored in this game.
No runs were scored in the first, by the way.
Yeah.
That makes it even crazier. Padres put up 12 in the second and now 15 and counting in the third. There's a runner on first.
No,
and 2
3
out.
in the third to
3
bring
in
it
the
up
code.
to 15.
15 and counting. Total. Amazing. All right, when we come back, I have a trivia question for you for Aztecs tickets to give away. San Diego State has won the most Mountain West Conference tournaments since they began. What team has won the second most Mountain West Conference tournament championships? They have 5. San Diego State's got 7. If you call in 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you're the first one to tell me who has won the second most championships in Mountain West tournament history, you will win tickets to the Aztec game on Friday, tomorrow, against UNLV. Another home run, by the way. Jackson Rhodes hit another one. It's 17-2. You know what? The Padres, their offense, man, giving up the safety early was not great. But I'm glad that they were able to rack up, get a couple of touchdowns in there.
They gave up the safety after they were already up by 2 scores.
I know.
What do you mean?
It's still because it's early in the game. First one to call in and tell me who's won the second most Mountain West Conference tournaments championships will win tickets to the Aztec game against UNLV tomorrow. We'll talk about the Padres and recap what has happened in this game, as well as some points that came up during Sam's interview that we really wanted to get to that we haven't gotten to yet. That comes up next on the Braden Surprenant Show, Settings Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Statement wins, title clinched, and program shaking upset. It was a week that perfectly captured what San Diego State Athletics is right now. Dangerous, resilient, and built for March. Start with the men's team. Now, from first place tie to now a second place battle for the Aztecs men's basketball team, they delivered one of their most complete performances of the year in an 89-72 statement win over Utah State, where they shot 55% for the field. They scored 42 bench points. They controlled the glass. They forced turnovers. Reese Dixon Waters poured in 20. But then again on Saturday, Aztecs dropped a tight 81-76 decision to New Mexico. Back and forth game. Miles Bird led the way with 17, but New Mexico made the plays late. We're talked about this on the show. They did get hosed at the end of that game, but they put themselves in the situation at this point where every game matters, and putting the game in the ref's hands also is something that it's something that they didn't need to have happen. Yet they played themselves into a situation where they're relying on the referees at the pit to rule in their favor, which never is going to end well.
No, you cannot, especially in college on the road. You cannot anticipate the officials giving you a call. And you're right, it goes back so much farther beyond this past week. The loss to Utah State when the game was close, they ended up running away in Utah while we were out at FanFest. The game before that, or game or two before that, the loss to Grand Canyon, the close loss to Grand Canyon. Of course, you go back to the non-conference games, the awful loss against Troy at the beginning of the season. It's just a continuation of the disappointing, underachieving year that has been for this San Diego State Aztecs basketball team.
They have shown that they can dominate, yet they have also shown that they can be vulnerable late. I mean, and in March, execution, the final 6 minutes is everything. We talk about this, and we're going to talk about this on our college sports update, the bubble update that we have leading into the NCAA tournament. We have conference championship games coming up this week, conference championship tournaments, if you will. They already start this week. They start as early, I think, as today. I think the Horizon League starts today, where automatic bids are going to start flying off the board. But the reality is the Power Four conferences are getting more and more teams in and investing a ton of money into their basketball programs. And a lot of these schools are not really, they don't have the resume to make it in, but they have the nod because they're a Power Four school. Like, I look at a school like Auburn, who's lost 7 out of their last 8 games, who has looked absolutely awful in SEC play, who's 1 game above 500 and 6-10 in conference play. They're a spot above San Diego State right now. I mean, that's everything you need to know about where everything lies in terms of selection committee. You have 37 available spots for the NCAA tournament for at-large bids because 31 teams are going to get an automatic qualifier. And in order to get one of those spots, you have to outdo the Power Four. And right now, the Power Four has 34 of those 37 spots, according to a lot of bracketologists, what is very alarming for schools like San Diego State.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be able to give yourself as much opportunity as you possibly can in order to get into these tournaments, especially when you're talking about, the human element coming into it as far as who's getting in and who's getting out. So for San Diego State, it really, really important to get as many wins as they possibly could. Unfortunately, it's going to fall now. They got 2 left here against Boise State and against UNLV. So you still have a couple of chances to at least somewhat impress, because right now they're being shown as one of the first 4 out.
At the very least, they get to increase their chance in the Mountain West tournament by trying to get a better seed.
Yes.
In the tournament, trying to get that bye in the first 4 teams, trying to be in a really good spot bracket wise. In terms of women's basketball, same thing as for the women's. They won the Mountain West Conference Championship outright in the regular season, but they're also in a one bid league. So they're going to have to win the tournament if they want to make the NCAA tournament. They're obviously the favorite, but they had a gritty 66-64 comeback win at Boise State last week. They were down 11 and scored just 21 points in the first half. Then flipped the switch in the second half. They're now 24-4. They're 18-1 in conference. Program record 17 conference wins. Team that has toughness, a team that defends, a team that adjusts. And unlike the men's team, they've been finishing a lot of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently sitting at 24-4, 18-1 in the conference, program record in conference wins. So the women's team have gotten the job done, and you would expect them to do the same thing when it comes to the Mountain West tournament.
Now, as for softball and baseball, the spring sports, as we're kind of running down the winter sports aspect of this. In baseball, what a victory for San Diego State against UCLA. It's a Tuesday night. Tuesday nights are crazy. Studios, we know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. It's better. It's better, Frank. Don't you know it's better?
What's better?
SDCCU is better.
Oh,
not big bank banking.
I thought you were going to say it.
No. Anyway, I'd recap the Padre game, but it would put me into it would take up to about 3:00.
Yeah.
To do everything that has happened in the Padre game today. The Padres are winning 17-2 in the bottom of the third.
Things have happened.
Cronenworth's 3 for 3 today with 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and a walk. He's out of the game.
Yes,
they just ended the third inning, by the way. Walker Buehler, another clean sheet after the
after he sat
second inning where he gave up 2.
After he sat for an hour and a half before pitching in the second inning.
So, leadoff guy today, Jay Cronenworth, 3 for 3, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and a walk. Jackson Merrill today, the number 2 hitter, 3 for 4, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs. They have both been subbed out by Mason McCoy and Bowen. Laureano, 2 for 4 today with a run scored and 2 RBIs. He has also struck out twice. Nick Solak has checked in for him and 2 RBIs. Freddie Fermin, 3 for 3, 3 runs scored, 6 RBIs. Talk about a pad-statting day for the offense for the San Diego Padres, Frank. How about it?
Yeah, that's certainly it, isn't it?
Now, Walker Buehler, 3 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. He had a really good first inning. The second inning, gave up a couple of hits to start. But again, as Frank mentioned, that was a long time to sit down and wait. I mean, I'm still scrolling through the second inning on my game day thing here to try to catch up. He gave up the single to Patrick Wisdom, the triple to Rylan Thomas. He got Ryan Bliss to fly out. He got Spencer Packard to ground out, which scored the run to make it 12-2 San Diego. And then he got Colt Emerson to ground out. In the third inning, facing the order for a second time, he got Brendan Donovan to ground out. And we've seen his fastball now. He got to as high as 95 miles an hour today, which is nice. He struck out Rob Refsnyder for a second time. A lot of sliders and sweepers, threw a sinker in there as well. And then he got Luke Raley to strike out. So Walker Buehler overall, Frank, before we look at his advanced pitch metrics tomorrow, he looked pretty good from the get-go. It's hard to look up there every time and see the score and say, well, how did he not do well? But he did pretty well today for the San Diego Padres, and that's assuming he's done. Because we don't even know if he's done yet.
Yeah, and I really cannot wait to see the that pitch profiler on him coming up a little bit later on today. That's going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm sure he looked good. Visually, he looked good. But to dive into his analytics the same way we did with Joe Musgrove earlier today, that'll be on Braden's YouTube coming up a little bit later on today. That'll be very interesting to see.
Very, very interesting. I like it. 4 strikeouts for Walker Buehler today. Looked sharp. Got his command. way back. I mean, obviously the velo's got to go up a little bit, and but this is his first outing in a stadium game for the Padres. Overall, pretty good. Also scheduled to pitch today was JP Sears and Tristan McKenzie. We'll see how they do later on. We'll keep you updated on that as well. So I think SD Mike brings up a good point of the chat too. Considering the ball was just howling out of that park, that really makes Walker Buehler's day even more exceptional. Sungmoon Song hit a 430-foot home run today on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Bryce Johnson lines out. That leads to the conversation I wanted to get into a little bit. And it was some of the questions coming off of what we talked about with Sam Lev. And that was the conversation about some of the roster moves that the Padres have made and what that is potentially leading towards. I think right now, like Bryce Johnson is a very much a player that can be utilized by this team. He plays good defense. He's a pinch runner type. He doesn't hit poorly, right, Frank? I mean, he hit over 300 in his at-bats last year. Again, obviously, there weren't enough at-bats to qualify for any type of, award, which just tells you that it's a small sample size. But overall, Bryce Johnson did a really good job. But I find it interesting, and I asked Sam this question. I find it interesting that they ended up signing Alex Verdugo to a minor league deal. And it could be just taking a chance on somebody who has major league experience. But I find that part interesting. Is that another ball that just left the yard?
Good Lord, it is. Miguel Andujar, solo shot.
Was that against a righty or a lefty? Who's even pitching right now? How about that Better Cup, huh? Do these games count? He did it against the righty. Wow. Jeez, man. Every time I look up, the ball's going over the fence or hitting the fence.
What is I gotta see it now.
Wind going out like 50 miles an hour. I think it has to be a certain amount of innings, I would imagine. It's 18-2 in the fourth. Are they gonna run rule the Mariners so JP Sears and Tristan McKenzie can't pitch today?
According to Major League Baseball, the MLB game day, the wind is 5 miles an hour in from left field.
I don't believe it.
I find that hard to believe too. 76 and sunny, I find fairly easy to believe, but it says 5 miles an hour.
We're talking about a platform, by the way, that got the score wrong. So it lost.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but I'm just saying that's what the official weather conditions are for this game is 76 and sunny, 5 miles an hour in from left field.
Amazing. Everybody's just hit their way. They've gotten 3 or 4 at bats in the first 3 innings. So to go back to what I was talking about before I was rudely interrupted by Miguel Andujar hitting another home run.
What a jerk,
rude. So rude.
My God.
Rude. About Padres today, just interrupting our thoughts.
Can you guys stop dominating good, please?
Spring training
game. Jeez.
As we mentioned before today, none of these really matter. Today it matters. I'm just saying, Frank. Did we not say at the beginning part of the show today? It's going to be the most important game for the Padres in the spring.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily what we had in mind, though.
We got a Mariners challenge on an ABS call. I just got the corner. Sorry, Acuna. Sorry, buddy. I want to talk about the bench because there's some moves, and I keep teasing this, but then the Padres keep scoring runs. There are some moves that the Padres have made that are, I think, telling you what they're going to do with their roster. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. It was a gritty, emotional week for the San Diego Gulls. 3 games, 2 overtimes, 4 total points on the table, and they grabbed 3 of them. And let's start at home. Overtime heartbreak versus Tucson. Gulls dropped a 2-1 overtime decision to the Roadrunners at Pechanga Arena, but it was another night where the goaltending stood tall. Callie Klang stopped 26 of 28 and flat out kept them in the game. Ryan Carpenter opened the scoring off of a feed from Justin Bailey. Carpenter now has 5 points in his last 4 games and 30 on the season. Tucson tied it late. They won it in overtime, but the Gulls still grabbed a point, and they're now 4-0-1-1 against Tucson this season, and that's not an accident.
No, absolutely not. They have been very, very good against Tucson. You can tell sometimes when a team just has your number, and it appears as though the Gulls just have the number of the Tucson Roadrunners.
On to the defensive statement in Texas. Then came the road trip. They knocked off the Texas Stars 2-1 in a disciplined playoff-style game. Klang again, rock solid. 28 of 29 saves. Now 13 wins on the season. 2.51 goals against average. Confidence is really radiating through this lineup.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And Nathan Gauthier answered Texas's early goal in the second, matching last season's goal total already this year. Justin Bailey hit the game winner. Big stat now is Bailey has now has 18 goals. 6 of those 18 goals are game winners, which is tied for second in the entirety of the American Hockey League. That is clutch production. And head coach Matt McIlvain called it a sound defensive effort as well. And that's really starting to become the identity of the San Diego Gulls team.
Let's talk about this 6-5 overtime loss. The Saturday night, the chaos ensued. 6-5 overtime loss to Texas in a back-and-forth shootout. Power play goals, shorthanded rush but from Tyson Hines, 2 goals from Nicolas Brulard, a fight from Ronald McKeown, 30 saves from Thomas Susanic. This one had everything. They led, they trailed, they tied it late to force overtime, but Texas finished it still 3 of 4 points on the road in Texas. That's significant. You'll take it if you're the Gulls right now.
Yeah, that is a huge, huge swing as far as the points are, as far as the standings are concerned. We talked about it being buried down in 6th place, but being very, very close to a big swing, and to be able to take 3 out of 4 from Texas is absolutely huge for this season for the Gulls.
Bigger picture, the Gulls are defending better right now. They're getting elite level goaltending from Klang, and they're finding timely scoring. They rank first in the AHL in shots per game. They're disciplined. They're playing tighter defensively than earlier in the year, but they're still struggling to close out high event games. And when it becomes wide open, they give up too much. When it's tight and structured, they thrive. That's a maturity thing. But this is a team that's very young and a team that finally gets to settle in. We've talked about this a lot on the Gulls updates. The Ducks are doing really well with young talent, and they are now a point out or a couple points out from first place in the Pacific Division, which means they don't have to keep pulling up players to help their team and compete at an NHL level. They have their core, and it's young, which means there's not a lot of places for these San Diego Gulls to go in advance. There might be a couple that come up and help and then come back down. But with that being said, this is a team that can finally start playing good hockey together as a unison. And now you might be getting sent down good players instead of sending all of your best players up to the NHL parent club.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that really stands out for me there is that they're ranking first in shots per game in the league. The more shots you get, the more likely it is for one of those shots to at least go in. And they've gotten a lot of timely goals, and we've seen over the last month or so of doing this, they've had a lot of high-scoring games, and a lot of that has to do with those high shot totals. So the fact that they're putting the puck on the net on a consistent basis night after night really shows how potent this offense is, and the fact that it's really helping them score goals. And also, you can't forget about the guy at the back.
Yeah, Klang's doing an unbelievable job for the Gulls this season. The Gulls currently in 6th place. That is a playoff spot. They have the lead over the Tucson Roadrunners, who are in the final playoff spot in the Pacific Division. And they've done really well against the Roadrunners, as I mentioned earlier in this update. They haven't lost to them yet in regulation. So something to pay attention to is they have 4 wins, no losses against the Roadrunners, 1 overtime loss and 1 shootout loss. to Tucson. And they're right there in the thick of things in the Pacific Division. They're 12 games out of first place from Ontario, 11 from Colorado. But then you start looking, they're 6 points behind the Barracuda in third place, which puts you in a position to host, and it's very beneficial for you in the AHL playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just 3 games. You get 2 points for a win. You get 1 point if you go into extra time, into overtime or a shootout, or if you lose in a shootout, doesn't matter. You still get that 1 point. So that's really just 3 games behind the San Jose Barracuda. So that is doable, especially with how much time is left still in this AHL season.
Yeah, and of course, if you're thinking about the AHL playoffs, first round, best of 3 series, division and semifinals will be best of 5, conference finals in the Calder Cup. Let's look up some high school baseball is now in force here in San Diego, Frank. I saw that Shohei Darvish pitched for Cathedral on Tuesday.
Very nice.
Tuesday. They beat the Foothillers of Grossmont.
Okay.
Grossmont's got a good baseball program. Dons won 6-0. Shohei Darvish he got the win. He went 4 innings, no earned runs, 2 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts.
Nice.
How about it?
How about that?
Faced 18 batters.
Faced the same amount of batters the Padres have scored runs today.
He held his opponents to a 154 batting average and a 389 on base percentage through 61 pitches. Hit 1 batter. There's your stat line of the day. For the high school baseball realm. Now we get to start adding that to our updates during the breaks. All right. Let's get to what is going on now in Peoria, where Padres have now an 18-3 lead. Overall, you got to like, before you get the pitching profile from the analytics, I like the way Walker Buehler pitched today. Was it perfect? No. But you're not looking for perfect. And we talked about that in the open today with Walker Buehler.
We got it. 32 seconds ago, we got it.
Oh, they finally dropped it?
Yes, they did.
How about that? What do we got?
Let's throw that up on screen. Further divert me from finishing what I need to finish before we end the show today.
Okay. While he's doing that, I'll keep you updated. Walker Buehler today was pretty good.
Here it is.
For today. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to see that. And who puts this out again? Pitch what?
Pitch Profiler.
Pitch Profiler. Here he is. They just followed us on social media.
Did they really?
Yeah. Well, they didn't follow they followed the fan account because I followed with the fan account on here.
Oh.
Release point is a little bit over the place today, but he had some pretty good stuff on his sweeper, on his stuff plus. That was above average. That was almost at the elite level. His sinker was above average. His knuckle curve was above average. Whiff percentage, pretty good on the sweeper and the sinker. Yeah, he's got to get that 4-seam fastball going a little bit more because the velo averaged about 92.4. Spin rates look pretty good on some of these pitches as well, but we'll take a deeper dive into this later on tomorrow. But that's a good indication of what's going on with Walker Buehler. I was encouraged by his start today. 3 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. The damage that Walker Buehler gave up mostly happened in the second inning after he sat there and waited for like an hour. I don't know what the actual time was. It had to be at least 30 minutes, I would imagine. So he is relieved by JP Sears. JP Sears, 2/3 of an inning so far, an earned run on 1 hit, a strikeout. He did give up a home run. And it has been a home run fest today for the Padres. Padres have had Jackson Merrill's got a double. Ty France has 2 doubles. Freddie Fermin's got a double. Ramon Laureano's got a double. Sun Moon Song's got a home run. Cronenworth got a home run. Freddie Fermin hit a home run. Jackson Merrill hit a home run. Miguel Andujar hit a home run. Andujar's got 2 RBIs today. Cronenworth with 2. Freddie Fermin's got 6. Ty France has 2. Ramon Laureano's got 2. Jackson Merrill's got 2. Sheets has 1. Sun Moon Song's got 1. It's a lot of slug today in that lineup. A lot of slug. JP Sears starting to struggle a little bit. JP Sears is a depth arm for the Padres, though. As much as he's like battling for the number 5 starter spot, he's going to be a guy if somebody gets hurt, they're bringing him up in the middle of the season.
Yeah, he is here. He is a San Diego Padre no matter what happens. He's got 2.5 years of control. He still has options. So he is a Padre no matter what.
He's battling to not have to go to El Paso.
Correct.
Is what he's doing. He gets a ground ball to end the inning. It looks like, oh, that was way closer than it needed to be. But the bats have come alive today, which leads to my bench question. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Settings over at Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Gwen and Chris will be coming up next. Chris Ello is here, so is Matt Scraby. Tony Gwynn Jr. will be joining them as soon as this game ends, which doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon.
Which looks like it'll be crossing paths with the WBC game tonight at 7.
Yeah, unless the mercy rule is in effect. So, when looking at, and when we were talking with Sam, some of these questions started to pop up to me as I was thinking about the Padres roster. And follow along with me here, Frank, and let me know what you think. So they signed Alex Verdugo to a minor league deal, right? Minor league contract, invite to minor league camp. He's an outfielder. He has Major League Baseball experience. Obviously, he's coming off of not so great years after he left Los Angeles, became a member of the Red Sox and then the Yankees. And the fact that he signed for a minor league deal with an invite to minor league camp at this late in spring training already shows you he really doesn't have a big market. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So with a guy like Alex Verdugo and bringing him in and adding him as a depth piece, I think it starts to point to what the Padres are going to do with their roster. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're just bringing in somebody that's going to be a major league, that has major league experience, bringing him into minor league camp, try to load up on some depth, right? You got to improve the farm system right now because it's 30th in baseball. But I see that. And then Sam added to this. Frank, where did Sam say that Sungmoon Song was getting reps at besides starting at shortstop today?
Starting at shortstop today, and they were saying, and he said that they were also going to try him out in left field.
They were going to try him in the outfield. We heard the rumors about that at the beginning part of camp, that he was getting some fly balls.
Which why you would try Sungmoon Song out in left field in Peoria is beyond me, but that you got to get him work somehow.
So Sungmoon Song started at shortstop today. They're going to give him some opportunities in the outfield. So he's getting reps in the outfield. You brought in Alex Verdugo. Ty France has been having a great spring. He's 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored today, and he's got 2 RBIs. He's hitting .412 in the spring right now with a 1029 OPS. And you're looking at what this bench can be. Again, you know Luis Camposano is going to be on this team. That's a tough dive right there. And if it's not Luis Camposano, Frank, it's going to be a backup catcher. So you know one of the spots is going to be a backup catcher. That's one of the spots on this team that's going to be gone. Now, regardless if it's righty-lefty platoon, whoever is not starting out of the Miguel Andujar, Gavin Sheets, Nick Castellanos deal, because one of the 3 is not going to start every given day, that's the second spot on the list. Which means you have 2 other spots available. And so it comes down to, if Ty France is going to make this team, he has to either outdo Sungmoon Song, which I don't think will be the case, because I think Sungmoon Song's already developed pretty well so far on some fastballs. I mean, he had a home run today on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball by Luis Castillo. And he got shelled today. Luis Castillo got shelled today. But I find it hard to believe that Sungmoon Song's going to start this season in AAA. I think they can. I think they can have him go down there and work. Have him go down there and get reps against high velocity pitches, as the Padres are now up 19-3. Save some for tomorrow.
Like I said, at what point do you do the little league thing of just going base to base? even if you hit a double into the gap or like a potential triple,
I don't think you could do that when guys are playing for teams. These guys are battling for spots. If I offend you, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make a team here. I'm trying to provide for my family. I'm trying to make a major league roster. I'm trying to show that I can battle. That's why they probably the run rule in 7. So I don't think Sun Moon Song spot's going to be up. Then it comes down to Ty France and Bryce Johnson. I agree with Sam, and I still think that Bryce Johnson is a player that brings a lot of value to this organization because he can play in the outfield as a 4th outfielder, and he can hit, and he's a pinch runner, and all that. But to me, Frank, when I see Alex Verdugo get signed as a backup plan, and I see guys like Sungmoon Song getting some outfield reps, right? They got guys that can play the outfield. Bryce Johnson's on the team, right? He's going to be your 4th outfielder. In a pinch, you can use Nick Castellanos. In a pinch, you can use Miguel Andujar. Why are they putting Sungmoon Song out there in the outfield? With a lot of the actions playing out here, I don't think it's crazy to say that Ty France is playing his way onto this roster right now. And I think they're putting in place contingency plans for the outfield because they're going to put Ty France on the roster maybe, which means Bryce Johnson isn't going to be on the team. I'm starting to think about this out loud a little bit. The more I see some of these moves happen, and maybe it's all a coincidence, but I just feel like the way Ty France is playing this spring, Sungmoon Song being used everywhere to be an ultimate utility guy, and Bryce Johnson being good but not great, I could see a situation where Ty France is making this team and the outfielder that's going to be the backup outfield. Because again, the outfield situation, Frank, even Bryce Johnson's not better than the outfielders that are in front of him in terms of defense, because all of the outfielders in front of Bryce Johnson are defensively strong in Laureano, Merrill, and Tatis. So what are you using a 4th outfielder for? Probably just in a pinch
just a day off.
Spot start. If that's the case, you can use Sungmoon Song. You use Miguel Andujar. You can use Gavin Sheets and Nick Castellanos. You don't necessarily need that 4th outfielder.
At the same time, you also don't want it to be a defensive liability, too.
I understand that. But, Ty France is swinging his way on this team. So I look at this as a situation of, is Ty France now passing Bryce Johnson on the depth chart in terms of making that bench piece? I think it's an interesting question, Frank.
I think so too. And remember, just because the Bryce Johnson doesn't make the roster doesn't mean that he's not going to be a Padre. Now, it's very unlikely.
Yeah, because they picked him up last year when the Pirates cut him, or whoever it was.
It is very unlikely that he does clear waivers and ends up in El Paso. But there is still, just because he doesn't make the team, there is a chance that he's able to go through to El Paso, and the Padres still do have him as an option. Now, if Alex Verdugo hits very well, looks like he's progressing at a nice rate, you could talk about a case where possibly they are planning to lose him. And they are looking to have that outfield depth with major league experience down in the minor leagues. And also, if that doesn't happen, Verdugo might be one of those guys that we talked about a couple of weeks ago where he has the ability to opt out of a minor league deal during the season if he doesn't get into the major leagues at a certain amount of time. So that is also another option that you can look. That is another option.
Are we assuming that based on his service time?
Yes.
Whereas I think he's one of those guys, but we don't know. It's now 20-3, by the way.
We don't know what the contract is that Verdugo has, but based on his service time, there could be a clause in his contract that he can opt out of a minor league deal if he's not brought up to the major leagues in X amount of time.
He's a minor leaguer in a minor league camp as of right now. The other thing, too, is I think some of these young guys that also play the outfield are pushing that the Padres can add Ty France. Samad Taylor's had a good spring. He's had a really good spring. I just think it's an interesting question, another storyline to watch here in camp. So And I agree. Like, if you don't keep Bryce Johnson, who's your pinch runner late in the game? There's something to be said about that. We'll pick up this conversation tomorrow. Padres are up 20-3 right now in the top of the fifth inning. Gwen and Chris coming up next. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Padres Cubs.